Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Huge shout out, and a special thanks to my Patreon and channel members. This video is sponsored by myself. I just opened up a Patreon for those of you that want individual chapters for manhwas, or shorter daily uploads that aren't enough for full-length parts on the channel. Link will be in the description, and pinned comment. Sorry for the interruption. The series starts by explaining how one day, countless black monoliths fell from the sky. Then, a barrier was deployed. Monsters known as disaster spirit beasts broke through the barrier, and invaded the human realm. Under the charge of Ligna, the demon of ruin, as he led the army out of the gate, they carried out a massacre against humanity. As we see a skeleton knight murdering a child's father, he screams out for him. As the mother continues running through the countless monsters, the skeleton knight pursues them. Launching out an attack, the mother, to save her child, pushes him away. He screams out for her as she tells him to run. He snaps out of it to his friend telling him to wake up, and we learn that his name is Itsuki Tenma. She asks what's wrong, as he was spacing out. He says it was nothing, and she says that she doesn't think that's the case because he's crying. His homie then says that he's probably just sleepy, as he's usually asleep by this time, but today was the school-wide assembly, so he probably didn't get to take his nap. Itsuki says more importantly, the teacher is dressed weird. The teacher says that after the disaster beasts appeared, individuals with the power to counter them emerged among humanity called the Awakeners. 10 years ago, when the largest disaster beast attack occurred at the northern bank of the Blue River, Awakeners from all over the world gathered across the river, and repelled them. A battle which later became known as the Crossing War. Since then, the attacks have decreased, but the number of monoliths descending has spiked. Massive attack on the scale of the Crossing War will likely happen in the near future. His homie says that dude is the general commander of the northern continent, Izumi Nento, but thought he'd know him because he is from the northern continent. Itsuki says he's definitely heard the name, but he thought he'd be a hunched over old man with a beard, but he looks weirder than he imagined. Homie says that he's probably confused by the weird dress style, but it's thanks to him that they know anything about the monoliths and the beast. Then talks about his disciple named Taewajin, who has the title Light of Humanity, as that was his only student. Nento continues saying that recent research has shown that even ordinary people who don't awaken can become awakeners with a certain probability after touching a monolith, and he has come here today just to let them all have a try. If they become awakeners, and devote themselves to fight the beast, they'll be a great aid in the upcoming war. As the monolith raises from the ground, the students start to get hyped, and beg that they become awakeners. His homie asks if he heard that they finally have the chance to become awakened. Itsuki says finally, and starts to walk forward, but his homie tells him not to leave him behind, and the girl from earlier tells him to wait his turn, but he walks past her with his eyes fully locked in. He says that the day has finally come. They call the next student up, and he fails. They say it's crazy because he was a natural-born athlete who set many records in his first year, but maybe athletic ability has nothing to do with it. Then student after student fails until not a single one is awakened yet, and they say that at this rate the entire school is doomed. They call some pig forward next named Oishi Hikaru, but we'll call him Oinki. Some of the women say that he's a bully, and low-key creeps them out because they've caught him taking pictures of them, and it'd be a nightmare if he became an awakened. A guy starts screaming, saying that the monolith is changing as we see a lightning form around Oinki. He says with this, Nento is going to notice him, and the beauty beside him will too, as his job is an elementalist. We see his stats as well. The woman says they finally got one. It turns out that Nento is her dad, but she says at level 0 the total stat value is usually 5, but he has 12, which isn't that much higher, but it's better than nothing. Oinki is just celebrating, but also a little annoyed that they're not saying anything to him. Itsuki walks up, and pushes him aside. Oinki gets pissed, asking him who the hell he thinks he is to be touching him. The students are confused why he didn't wait his turn because it would have been just a few minutes, but say that he's cooked because once Oinki targets you, you're done for. The woman says she can sense that this kid is very emotional, and Itsuki says he's burned every detail of that day into his mind, so he can never forget the hatred for the beast, and his resolve is different from everyone else's here. Nento looks surprised, as what he sees behind Itsuki is a giant deity. As he touches the monolith, a flower sprouts over his head, and begins to bloom. The other students are mesmerized, saying that it's at least 100 meters tall. His friends though are just cheering him on. The woman says that this is the phenomenon that only occurs when the rarest job, Order Breaker, appears. Nento says he wonders how powerful he'll be, and he's looking forward to this. Oinki is just pissed that he stole his spotlight. Itsuki, When he opens his eyes though, is sitting on a lotus flower in the lotus position, wondering if he actually awakened. We then see his stats. He's fixed at level 0, meaning he's unable to level up. His gift is called Nirvana, and his skill is called Overmimesis, which is Z rank. It analyzes the enemy attacks, and allows the acquisition of counter skills, but his stats are all straight 0, and he says that he's fucking cooked. But once he reads more into it, he realizes that his stats will increase based on the skill rank, and he'll be cleared of all debuffs, and fully heal. And the fact that his special gift Nirvana activated, he gains 200 stats in every category. He says this is actually crazy, and if he learns a skill with Overmimesis, it means he can gain stats through Nirvana. He doesn't know what level this makes him equivalent to, but there's no doubt he's become an awakener, and he will annihilate the disaster beast now. The students are just blinded by how bright the lotus flower is, and he's still just touching the monolith. Oinki says this is impossible, and the woman says this is unbelievable that these are the stats of a rookie awakener. Nento solidifies it, saying that it's hard to believe, but this boy is undoubtedly going to become the strongest, and in terms of all the rookies, he's by far the strongest. Everybody looks at his stats, saying that this is amazing that someone like this is from their school. Oinki, starting to feel inferior, then gets frustrated, saying that a failure like him should have stayed a loser. As he launches his attack towards him, we see the lightning starting to fly at him. It's called Silver Snake. A status window appears in front of Itsuki, telling him that the skill has been detected, but Overmimesis has activated. We see the progress of the analysis is slowly raising until it hits where Itsuki was standing, but he's no longer there. The students are surprised, saying that he's completely vanished. We see him standing right behind Oinki now. He says that his body won't move out of fear. As it's now at 88%, Itsuki warns him that he should consider himself lucky. While he is the face of a pig, he was still born a human, though if he was a beast, he would have killed him 100 times over by now. The skill is at 94%. As Oinki falls to the floor, when it gets higher, he starts to float in the air. He says that it may be only because it's a C-rank skill, but the analysis speed is insanely fast. As he's levitating, he obtains the C-rank skill called Thunderclap Wave, and it starts to emit a lightning surge around him. Somebody says they might get blinded again, and his boy says that he's glad he brought sunglasses. Itsuki says that he's forcefully pulled into the space every time something related to his skill activates. The skill allows him to absorb lightning attacks of any rank lower. Due to him learning this though, he gains a +10 to every stat, and fully heals. He gets out of his dreamlike state, and they say that now Itsuki is covered in lightning, and he's even brighter than Oinki's. He asks how the hell he learned the skill, but notices his stats have risen again as well. It then begins raining all over the field as a monolith descends from the sky. The woman asks why now of all times. Nento says that the school assembly is cancelled, and everybody needs to evacuate according to the drill, and he's certain that he's the target. The woman says they should run too, as fighting isn't their specialty, but he says if they run, it'll only make people panic, and it looks like that student has more guts than the both of them, as Itsuki runs straight towards the monolith. The woman wonders why he's not running, as the monolith has now fully descended. His friends tell him that a disaster beast is coming, and they should get out of here, but he says that he's going to wipe them all out. His friend asks what he's talking about, as he just awoken, so he should run too. Even his other friend agrees, saying that he shouldn't be fighting like this, and they can leave it to the other awakeners, but he looks down at her, saying to trust him. She says that she'll only trust him this one time. If he dies, that's on him. His boy asks if she's really just going to run away, as she pulls him. Itsuki says to think his first enemy after becoming an awakener would be the same kind that killed his parents. He sheds a tear, saying that he guesses he really is lucky. As we see, it's a skeleton soldier that is level 8. Its stats are pretty high, but nowhere as close to Itsuki's. Itsuki says it's time for him to try out the new skill he learned. He dashes forward, closing the gap with his newfound ability. He dodges the attack, as it grazes his cheek. He says he won't let anyone else be killed. He hits it straight in the chest. The monster goes flying into a nearby building. The other students say that Itsuki is too strong, saying maybe they don't have to run away, and to think that he could send it flying all the way to the school building with a single blow is crazy. Nento, as well, says that for a rookie who just awakened to blow away a level 8 calamity beast like that, he's on a completely different level of speed and power compared to the other level zeros. But even so, it's impossible to defeat those skeleton soldiers. They have two troublesome abilities. The first is a gift that increases their defense, and the second is a skill called Bonefire that incinerates anything it touches. As it starts to use exactly that, Itsuki's friends look horrified, but Oinki is excited, saying that he doesn't know his place, and he'll be nothing but ash by the time it's done with him. Of course, though, we know he's built different because of his skill. Over-mimesis activates after it detects the B-rank skill, and begins analyzing it. Itsuki says it looks like the analysis speed increases whenever an enemy skill hits him. As he starts withstanding the fire, Nento's daughter says that even a level 10 awakened wouldn't stand a chance if they took it directly. But to think a genius who finally appeared would be killed by a calamity beast before he even had the chance to grow. As it's at 80%, Itsuki says that burning to death feels painful, and that he can't believe his mother had to endure this, but she did it with a smile on her face. Nento can tell that this is just getting started. Itsuki points forward at the monster, saying that once the analysis is finished, it's done. The other students say that they were a fool to find even a moment of hope in him, but the sunglasses guy tells them to look, as the blue lotus flower has appeared again, and if it's Itsuki, he might show another miracle. Itsuki wonders what skill he learned this time. Due to the bonfire skill being analyzed, Black Ice Wall was acquired. It consumes mana to generate ice, and blocks all fire element skills of B rank or lower. He gains a +20 to all of his stats, and fully heals due to learning a new skill. Itsuki says he couldn't break through its defenses earlier, even with a full power strike, but with his attack power boosted this much, he should be able to do it. The lotus flower continues to envelop him until it fully blooms. Everybody's just excited that he's alive. Sunglasses guy said that he knew he was about to activate some plot armor, while other students are just in disbelief that such a miracle occurred. Nento's daughter says that he must have a self-healing skill, but she thought he was a lightning element skill user. Nento says that Order Breaker is the most mysterious job, but Itsuki has to be an exception even among them, to think that he'd recover so perfectly. Maybe he would even recover if his limbs were severed, or if his brain was destroyed. He's really curious about the limits to his self-healing. The skeleton charges straight at him once more with bonfire. Black ice forms over his body as he begins to get completely enveloped. We see it nullify the fire, and he pushes through it. As the skeleton realizes this too, he goes for a melee attack, but Itsuki jumps over it into the air, and uses the black ice to form himself a giant club, and he swings, cleaving through the skeleton knight. The students say that only an awakened could possibly track his movements. Both Oinki and Nento's daughter couldn't see him at all, and they ask how the fuck this is a rookie. Itsuki says not only can he create sturdy armor to protect his body, but he can even create weapons in any shape he wants. And he really got a god tier skill for his stage. His homie then yells out for him, and hugs him, saying that he was so worried that his balls went back inside out of pure fear. We finally learn the woman's name, as her name is Saya. Itsuki asks where she is. He says that he thought she came over first. She was looking like she was about to cry. Itsuki looks around, saying she must be angry. Nento's daughter says that to think that boy defeated a skeleton soldier that even a level 10 would struggle with. We learn that her name is Ageha. Nento tells her that she should stay here, and help with the cleanup. While he's at it, to give the principal a personal message, he's going to take the boy with him. His homie says that there's no way she would be angry after he won. She probably went to the monument because she was afraid of falling behind him. He says he hopes that's the case. Nento then approaches him after calling out his name. Everybody wonders if maybe he's planning to make him his disciple, but they say that there's no way, because he is Wajin already, and no matter how strong Itsuki is, that's impossible. Homie says that he's going to go look for Saya, realizing he shouldn't butt into the conversation, and Nento tells him that he's special. Itsuki asks how, and Nento says that it seems his heart is filled with hatred and rage, and he wants to know the reason why. Itsuki tells him 10 years ago his parents were killed by a calamity beast while protecting him, and he was next, as he sat there watching in fear. But an awakened fluent had saved him. Right before his eyes, his mother was burned to ash. She told him that he's going to have to walk the rest of the way on his own. He blamed himself for this, and the fact that they had to protect him was the reason they died. He understood that Ligna was the true cause of everything, and he made a vow back then that he would kill it, and every one of its kind. Nento says for him to still shed tears when his heart is consumed by hatred, it means that he's genuine. Itsuki says that his tears actually stopped previously, but ever since today, they can't stop flowing. Nento offers him to be his disciple, and to bring him into the Savior Alliance, to give him overwhelming power. Itsuki asks what the Savior Alliance is. Nento tells him it's an organization established by the government of the 5 continents, gathering strong awakens from around the world to counter the beast more efficiently, and scientifically. All of the members regularly fight against the beast, and are called saviors. They are provided with resources like dedicated training grounds, and powerful weapons, but also very high salaries. Even a savior in training receives 10,000 gold every month. Itsuki is surprised, saying that's a lot of money, and Nento says of course such generous treatment isn't for free. They are expected to always fight on the front lines. Itsuki says he doesn't care about the pay, or the resources. What matters most is being able to fight the beast, and he says that he'll become a savior. Nento tells him that every February they hold an exam with over 10,000 participants, and only 100 of those are allowed to be saviors. Itsuki asks what the all-time record is for points on the exam, and he says it won't be much of a reference, but it's 115,000, set by Wajin, and if he has 30% of that, he'll pass. But 50% would get him first place. Itsuki says that's the strongest awakened. For some reason the name's changed, but I'm going to keep calling it by the first one that I read, which was Wajin. Nento says that Wajin is special. Comparing himself to him will only make him feel despair, but he should have confidence. With his talent he could stand shoulder to shoulder with him, but Itsuki says that he's not about having rivals, so he'll walk over him. Nento's surprised, and gets a flashback to when he was talking to Wajin. He told him that young people are going to try to follow in his footsteps. Wajin says just following won't win the war against the beast. Someone who surpasses him will appear someday, just as a new morning sun rises to replace the setting sun, and he's looking forward to it. Nento says that it looks like the day's finally arrived. Some time later they head to a building, and Itsuki asks what that is. Nento explains that the monuments are like passages, connecting this world to the world of the beast. That's why if you only kill the beast, and leave the monument alone, new beasts will keep coming. This building is a facility built to isolate the monuments that couldn't be destroyed. Awaken periodically wipe out the calamity beasts that appear from the monument. By doing so, the scale of the barrier can be suppressed, and it also serves as training. Itsuki says in short it's a training facility, wondering why he rambled so much. Nento says that they just call them stages. The level, and number of appearing calamity beasts are uncontrollable, so the inside is very dangerous. In particular the beasts in this stage before them though, are tough. It has the highest mortality rate amongst all the stages for rookies. It is known as the rookie's graveyard. Back then Wajin, who was just a budding awakened, cleared it in 3 minutes, and 14 seconds. At level 10. If he says he's gonna surpass him, he needs to do it in 3 minutes flat. And if he does, he will make him his disciple. Once they head inside, everybody recognizes Nento instantly. But say there's no way that he's walking with someone random, unless they're on Wajin's level. Itsuki asks if this dude is really that famous. He then spots on the wall that it mentions that the beasts inside are all level 10, which means they're 2 levels higher than the skeleton soldier. People are wondering if he's really going to enter the stage, and he tells the receptionist that he'd like to go. She asks how many challengers, and he says it'll just be him alone. Everybody's speechless, and the receptionist tells him to stop joking, asking if he's browsing, or if he's here just trying to pick up girls. He wonders what the hell she's even talking about. He says they seem to be misunderstanding, but he has no interest in her to begin with. He came here to challenge the stage. She says that he doesn't have to act tough to save face, and she'll give him her contact info, so to go home. He tells her that he doesn't give a shit about her, he just wants to enter the stage. She gets scared, saying that she won't be responsible if he dies. He says he can't believe he had to say it over and over, and the people in the back start laughing at him. As he enters, they say he's oddly confident, and while his gift is special grade, he may really be able to do this. But another guy says that if your level is low, none of that matters. Itsuki walks up to the biometrics and scans his wrist, as it gives him entry. He says that the promise is within 3 minutes, and he needs to give it his all. As soon as the clock starts, he bursts straight in. He says that the area is a lot wider than he thought. Even if it's artificial, it's his first time entering a stage. He says that they should be coming soon. The first enemy he encounters is a tree spirit that is level 4. It has no gift, and he cleaves through it by swinging down after he turned his hand into an axe, resembling the skeleton. Then he asks the others how it feels to watch their boy just get folded like an omelet, as their next. Ageha says that there are plenty of other stages for rookies, so why did he make him enter this one? Nento says that he'd surpass Wajin, so he brought him to challenge it. She says that's impossible, unless he steps out of the bounds of being human. Nento says that way of speaking makes him wonder if she thinks Wajin has already transcended to humanity. She says that he was easy and kind to talk to, but she saw him instantly kill a level 97. The eyes he had at that time were cold, lonely, and detached. She couldn't think of them as human anymore. They were closer to the eyes of a deity or a god. Nento says that boy also has potential that doesn't lose to Wajin, and he's just an unpolished rough stone right now. If Wajin is likened to a god who saves people, then Itsuki is a devil swallowed by hatred, in existence that is the exact opposite of him. Itsuki says that his ability isn't even activating with Disaster Beast at this level. As a giant one appears behind him, he turns, cleaving its head off, asking if this was really all it was. He thinks that level 10s aren't as crazy as he thought, but says there's no way this place would be called the Rookie's Graveyard if it was that easy. The B rank skill self-regeneration activates from the monster. The analysis starts. Itsuki's surprised, and it shoots out a bunch of vines around him. He's surprised it regenerated even with its head cut off. But as expected, it won't be so straightforward. We see its stats are actually pretty good too, much higher than the Skeleton Knight's. He activates his black ice on his wrist to break through the vines. He says he needs to deal massive damage in a short time, so it can't regenerate. He charges straight into the attack, as it's at 17% now, and climbing. He cleaves his way through it, turning both of his arms into blades using the black ice. At 21%, he cleaves straight through the middle of the monster, saying that he's going to chop it up, so finally it won't regenerate. As he does exactly that, it falls into chunks. He says with this, his magic power is about to run out from using black ice for so long. But as soon as he says that it's almost out, the monster begins to use even faster attacks. Itsuki, unable to use black ice, has to dodge them now, and he says that this is very troublesome. And every time it regenerates, the analysis speed increases. He deactivated black ice to suppress magic consumption, and he's using Thunderclap Wave to dodge the attacks and keep distance. And while it's a good strategy, he doesn't have much time left until the 3-minute limit. He's now at 75%, and he uses black ice on his arms to create axes. He says that he'll activate them both simultaneously to maximize his damage, and force it to regenerate endlessly. And it will increase the analysis speed even more. He continues cleaving his way forward, saying that if he can't activate Mimesis in a state of 0 magic power, he'll die here. He says that if he does die, it just means that that's all he amounted to. He starts to change the axe into a blade and swings down over its head, but his black ice shatters. He begins bleeding out of his mouth, saying that it seems his magic power has run out, as he has been impaled all over from the attack. He's now at 99%, and he says as he thought, it doesn't require magic power to use Mimesis, which means this match is his victory. At 100%, the Lotus Flower appears, breaking all of the attacks, as he has acquired the skill Lotus Explosion. It consumes magic power to deal explosive damage to enemies, and the power is proportional to the magic consumed. And it has infinite scaling. Every time he kills something with it, the range is increased by 1%. But due to acquiring the skill, all of his stats go up by 20, and he's fully healed. The monster stands there frozen, and he claps his hands using the ability, as it shoots out a red fiery wave, completely disintegrating the monster in front of him, and the land around him. Itsuki says that wasn't bad, and this power of just 1/3 of his magic cleared out all the beasts around him. And he never expected Mimesis to restore his magic power too, but he spots something, wondering what it is. He's now at 2 minutes, and the receptionists say that they should go call the rescue team, as he hasn't come out yet. Ageha says that she doesn't think he'd lose to a level 10 disaster beast, but clearing it within 3 minutes is impossible. But as soon as she says this, lo and behold it happens. A new record is achieved, and she asks if he really cleared it, but it hasn't even been 3 minutes. Meaning that he cleared it a whole minute faster than Wajin. He exits, and everybody's just surprised, saying that this has to be some kind of joke. Itsuki then asks if he will instruct him now, and calls him teacher. Nento calls him his student, saying well done. Ageha says it's been so long since she's seen her father happy. Everybody says that if he's really Nento's student, it makes sense how he broke Wajin's record. The receptionist then gives him a present for breaking the record, and she looks embarrassed, saying that she's sorry for what she said earlier. He didn't know he'd get something, saying it's fine, as anyone would think that a level 0 challenging it is reckless. He thanks her, and she starts to get flushed, saying not at all. Ageha tells him that they're leaving, and she says just because he became her father's student doesn't mean he can get carried away. Nento says it seems a stage at this level is too little for him, and they should increase the difficulty. With his current ability, he should challenge an advanced stage. Itsuki asks what he means, and Ageha says level isn't the only factor that determines a disaster's strength. The most important factor is the species. There are species with intelligence equal to or greater than humans, and they are troublesome existences. meaning they are essentially the same as they are awakened. It is said that currently only humans possess jobs. In other words, stats differ depending on the species. An advanced stage contains disaster beasts of such powerful species who are ones with intelligence. Its difficulty is several times that what he just faced. And since most of the advanced stages in the northern continent are in the North District 4, that is their next destination. He says that means the two he fought before had no intelligence, and since they didn't scream even when attacked, he's pissed, asking if that means they don't even feel pain. And if that's the case, he hopes the advanced stages will be able to feel it. She's scared, wondering what the hell's wrong with him. People keep yapping about how they heard he's taking him to an advanced stage, and how recently a man was killed there, and that it was done by someone else. One of the other bystanders asks if they mean it was done by Reiji. Someone else covers his mouth, saying that if he hears him, he's going to be erased. After all, he is the son of the North District 4 chief. We see his bodyguard asking when he's going to leave. He says that everything here belongs to him, so when he goes is up to him, and waiting in line is the way of commoners. Some time later, we see him opening a box, and Itsuki says he recognizes it. Nento asks if he's seen a karma stone before, and Itsuki says after defeating the disaster spirit beast in the stage, it dropped this, but there's a difference, as his color is more green. Ageha is surprised, saying that for an intermediate stone to drop at the beginner stage is unheard of. Itsuki is more curious about what a karma stone actually is. She says she'll explain it to him, and she low-key forgot he was a rookie. Another name for it is an experience stone. After a disaster spirit beast or an awakened dies, an invisible substance called karma, or experience points, is released from them. Some Minecraft type shit. By absorbing that, your level rises. In short, karma stones are stones that hide karma within them, and using the stone to absorb it is one of the ways to level up. But it's strange, as they aren't supposed to occur naturally, so why was it in that stage? Nento says that it's likely the influence of his gift. They both ask what he means, and Nento says that normally, the karma of the defeated is absorbed by the victor. However, even after defeating two of them, he has not leveled up. In other words, he didn't absorb it. However, karma that has once appeared does not simply vanish without reason. If his guess is correct, the karma from that beast that attacked the school was absorbed by the awakened present, meaning it was absorbed by them. On the other hand, in the stage, since it is sealed space, he couldn't absorb it, and there was no other vessel for it. So that's why it solidified into one piece, it is real, and became a karma stone. Ageha says that means he can't level up, and if that's the case, how is he meant to level up his stats? He goes to tell her, but Nento yells, saying that an awakened gift is an absolute secret that must not be shared with others, asking if she's forgotten. She looks scared, and apologizes, but Nento says that he'll leave it up to him whether he keeps that stone, or sells it. He has a meeting with the high command of the 5 continents, so he'll be leaving for a while. In the meantime, Ageha will look after him, but before he goes, there are some things he wants him to remember. First, their relationship is a secret. Second, not to tell anybody about his gift. Third, until he returns, he should clear at least 6 high-ranking gates. Fourth, if he thinks something is right, to do it with all of his might, and no matter what happens, he's behind him. Itsuki says, of course, and he heads to the North District for the Flame Rock execution ground. Inside, we see some men are saying that they were here first, and they should let them in, but the guards for Reiji say that it's already been reserved for him. They ask why the hell they're meant to care, just because he has some money. He's not even here yet, so they could let them in first. They don't know what kind of rich brat he is, but he's going to report them to the guild. One of the dudes gets sent flying backwards, and his homie goes to hit Duke Nukem in the face, but Duke Nukem dodges the attack. Dude's in disbelief, asking how his B-rank skill, Earth Spine, didn't work. Duke Nukem actually turns himself into metal, and says that it doesn't even itch. The guy realizes that this is bad, because it pierces through anything he's used it on so far, meaning this guy's a monster. Duke grabs onto his arms, and then headbutts him, causing his teeth to fly out. The spectators say those dudes were both level 7 and 8, yet they get insta-bodied without being able to do anything. And then we finally learn that Duke's name is Uga, but gonna call bro Duke. He's a level 12, metal element user. Duke says that he won't forgive anybody who tries to enter the stage without Reiji's permission, and if they try to resist, he'll make them end up just like these two. As they're going to rot right here, and they shouldn't even think about trying to help him. The other guards tell him to not overdo it, as the trash is watching them. Duke throws the guy away, and Itsuki catches him. The spectators say that he's a dead man since he's level 0, and he's helping even though Duke says not to. but they feel like they've seen that woman next to him somewhere. Duke says that he told them that no one passes through here without Reiji's permission, and if he does, he'll end up like those two, so leave. Itsuki says that this means he has to defeat him to enter the stage. Ageha says that she'll contact the administrator, as this kind of selfishness won't be allowed, but Itsuki says there's no need, as Nento told him that if he thinks something is right, he should do it regardless of the consequences. Then he tells Ageha to treat the people. Duke is confused, asking what's this guy's deal, as he's a level 0, yet he's facing him without any fear. And it must be because of his rare job, but he's low-key feeling pressured, even though he has a 12-level lead. Of course, since his stats are private, Duke thinks that he has the lead when his total is 600. But he's surprised as what he sees is Itsuki closing the gap at an instant, and hits him straight in the face. Everybody's just surprised though that he's so fast. One of them says even at level 8 he doesn't think he could keep up. Though we see the attack didn't have any damage, because of Duke's ability to turn himself into metal, and Itsuki realizes this too. Duke says that his speed is nice, but he lacks power, as he slams down on the ground. Itsuki says that to succeed in a surprise attack against an enemy over level 10, he has to increase his agility with Thunderclap. We see that his stats are totaling over 1000 now, but his skill Mimesis activates, and starts to analyze the ability. He says that if the skill's threatening enough to trigger Mimesis, he needs to get serious. Normal attacks can't break through the defense of the metallized parts, so he'll have to aim for the fleshy bits. As he goes in for a kick, it gets blocked, and Duke says that he's way too weak. Itsuki says that he thinks that was his top speed, and while he's off guard, he can speed up with Thunderclap, as he starts to do exactly that. Duke is caught off guard that he's a Thunder Element user, and as the analysis progress goes up, and up, Duke starts to just eat the attacks. People are surprised that he's able to use skills from different jobs, and say that a level 0 might actually be able to beat him. Duke though is sitting there panicked, because he's getting his shit rocked, asking how he's so fast when he's a level 0. And if this keeps up, he's going to lose. He says that he can't even raise his voice, telling his boys to stop watching, and if this continues, he has no choice but to try one thing. As he screams, his clothes get ripped off, and he metallizes his entire body. He says that he's never actually succeeded in this before, but, thanks to him pushing him, he did. And he tells him that a part that's been metallized increases defense by 50%, and his gift increases defense in a stationary state by another 50%. In other words, his current defense is over 500. He was going to slice him in half, but as a reward for helping him succeed, he'll let him die easily. Everybody says that that much defense at his level is unheard of, and it looks like the level 0 is cooked. Itsuki says that if his guess is correct, he's using a massive amount of mana, so if he put his stat points mainly to defense, his mana is not going to be that high. Duke asks what kind of nonsense he's talking about, but in reality is sweating bullets, asking why he's so sharp. Itsuki tells him not to worry, as he won't take such a tedious tactic as whittling his mana down, and he'll settle this immediately. His progress is now at 100, and Ageha says that since the lotus flower appeared, it means he's getting stronger again. People wonder if this is a level 0 skill, saying it doesn't seem like an attack one. He gains an ability called the Penetrating True Sphere, and it fires a perfect spear with a fixed trajectory, and ignores defense. Pretty much just true damage. It also has infinite scaling, because every time he defeats an enemy with more defense than him, the flight speed increases by 100%. Itsuki says that true damage is insane, and the problem is the flight speed. At 1 meter a second, anybody could avoid it, so the timing of release is crucial, but if his opponent is this sandbag, he doesn't even need to think about it. Because he's so confident in his defense, he's going to use it against him. His stats total at 1000, and for now he points forward, aiming the ball at him, and he says that he should dodge it. The people watching are just surprised that there's a skill that a level 0 can use like that, and someone else says that it must be an Order Breaker exclusive skill, and they are the most mysterious of the 4 classes. I don't know if 4 classes is all there are, but translation is ass, so that's what we got. The attack starts to fly out, and it is very slow. Everybody looks at it, asking if this little puny ball is all he has, and they say that shit's a letdown. Duke asks if he really tried to get him to move with such a tiny ball, and that's naive, and he stands there saying that if this is his trump card, he's in for a pathetic death as the ball continues and gets closer, until it starts to burrow through his arm, and blows it smooth off. Itsuki says he told him to dodge it, and since he's human, he settled for his right arm, but if he were a beast, he would have aimed straight for the neck. Duke's on the ground screaming about his blown off arm. Itsuki asks what they're all staring at, saying they should hurry up and take this dude to the hospital before he bleeds out and dies on the spot, saying he's not going to repeat himself. They carry their boy away, and the spectators are surprised that he won. Then tons of people flock over to try to get him to join them, and they start arguing, but they do give him a little bit of info about how Duke's defense is on par with the monsters in the stage. Itsuki says that the flight speed increases every time it defeats an enemy with higher defense than him, and this means that he can raise its speed in this stage. The men ask who he's going to pick, and he says that he's going alone. They call him crazy for trying to challenge a level 15 elite stage solo, and that he's getting carried away after beating Duke. They admit that he's strong, but he's too full of himself. Ageha tells him that all the beasts here have defense comparable to what he just fought. While he has the skill to defeat them, she doesn't know if he can sustain the mana cost. He tells her that it will be fine, and not to worry. She asks who is worrying for him. She only told him because if he died, her father would blame her, and she's going to go tend to the injured, and he can do whatever he wants. Also, that the Stone Tribe has no intelligence, but they move in groups, so he should be careful about his mana consumption. He tells her he understands, but as soon as he enters, he says there really are a lot more than he thought there would be. He says as expected of an elite stage, all of the levels and stats are much higher than before. They all have around 300 defense, and their stats are close to 500 total. He says he wants to check if these guys meet the condition for his little orb's passive as he shoots it out. The monster doesn't even try dodging as it burrows all the way through it. He insta-kills it, which was a level 9. Now the speed is increased by 100%. He says it's just as he thought. 2 more leap straight at him. He says that these guys are slow, and bad at dodging, so they're perfect fodder for his infinite scaling. This continues over and over. As he kills 2 more, we see he has half of his mana left, and he explains that each shot consumes 50 mana. Since he has 110 left, that's only 2 shots. But 2 more are charging at him, and the boss hasn't shown his face yet, which leaves 3 enemies total. In that case, he has to take out 2 of them with a single one. He readies it, and leaps into the air as they headbutt each other. He looks down and aims, saying that this is perfect, and he collats the 2 of them. It counts as a double kill. He says that this feeling of exhaustion right before his mana runs out is tough, and he hopes he can get a skill to recover it one day. But now his ability is at 5 meters per second, and he should be able to catch up to even running enemies. He looks up to spot a surprise attack coming in, and it destroys the area around him, and it activates the B rank skill of Gigantification, which converts all of his magic power to defense. Itsuki says this thing is way too big as he starts to dodge the attack using Thunderclap. He runs up along its arm, wondering if he's going to be able to take it down with his true damage attack, and says that he should at least aim for the head. He shoots it straight through the side of its skull. He says it's not good though. Even though it went through, it's not doing significant damage. It comes in for a punch straight towards him, and he realizes that he can't dodge midair. He uses his black eyes to block the attack, but it sends him to a nearby cliff. This is much tougher than he thought it would be. His skill Mimesis finally activates, and he says that it makes things easier since it used a skill to get this big. Meanwhile, Reiji's guard is on the phone yelling, asking if this is true. Reiji tells him he should keep his voice down, and the guard apologizes, saying that something unexpected happened. Reiji asks what, and he tells him that seems someone defeated Duke and forced their way into the stage. Reiji asks what the hell he is doing, and he was always bragging that no one under level 30 could break his defense, asking if that means someone over level 30 has come. The guard says the number of failing monoliths has surged recently, so all awakened above 30 are busy with that, and they wouldn't have the time to come here. Besides, the main challengers for the Blazing Rock hunting grounds are around level 10. Reiji says there's no way a level 10 could defeat him, and his bodyguard agrees, saying that if he gives him time, he'll look into it. Reiji says it won't be necessary. Even if the opponent is level 30, he's here, and that the place is famous for its tenacious disaster beast, and how time-consuming it is, so even if they head right now, they'll probably make it in time. His guard says still, without knowing the identity, they should proceed with caution. Reiji says he's not going to repeat himself twice, and the guard agrees. Reiji says he's going to make him regret messing with his family. But back to Itsuki, the analysis is at 100%, and he says he doesn't have to run around like a rat anymore. He says he's not acquiring a new skill, and maybe it has forcefully leveled his true damage, and it did. It gained the new effect where he can adjust the size by consuming additional mana, and the passive effect went up from 100% to 200. He says he wants to test it immediately. His stats also went up a good bit too. He's consuming all of his mana to create the largest orb he can right now. As the lotus flower blooms, it shoots out, completely destroying the monster, almost obliterating all of it, and he realizes that he might have overdone it. Itsuki says that he consumed all of his magic power, but he still didn't expect that type of attack. Now it speeds forwards at 7 meters per second, and if he clears this stage 2 more times it will be about as fast as a car. He says that passive effects are actually broken. His Lotus Explosion 1 increases the range of all the skills, and that means the flight distance of the other one increases the flight speed. So if he keeps raising the explosive passive effects someday he will be able to defeat Disaster Spirit Beast from thousands or even tens of thousands meters away. On the outside everybody sees that he has cleared it within 3 minutes, updating the record. They are all surprised, saying that he must have killed them all in one shot, but they are confused as to why he is still level 0, saying maybe the notification was a bug. And they even start inhaling copium, saying that his clothes are just a bit dirty, so there is no way he cleared it. Ageha says that he did it once more unscathed, and to think that he broke Wajin's record again. He just keeps surprising her, and she tells him that was surprisingly fast. He says it was actually pretty weak, but its defense was strong, but he managed to get through it. Then he asks what the butterfly floating around her is. She says that her job is a Shikigami user and this child is her Shikigami. It's called the Jade Butterfly. He says it's his first time seeing a Shikigami, and it's pretty. He's been wondering what kind of jobs there are anyways. She says that it's pretty common knowledge. Jobs are divided into 4 types, and he should have seen 3 of them already. First is the Elementalist. They have the power to manipulate the 7 elements. It's the most common job among Awakeners, and it's also the one with the highest base combat power. His classmate Oinki and Duke from earlier are both those types. The second is the Shikigami user. They can summon Shikigamis that obey only them, and their Shikigami is with them from the moment the creature is born, asking if he has any questions. We also learn that she's level 6. He says that her level is lower than her Shikigami's, asking if she's really a veteran Awakener. That's an arrow straight to her chest. She says that bro is too blunt. Then explains that sadly Shikigamis absorb experience and level up too, so they'll always be higher than their master's level. He says in that case when fighting a Shikigami user it's quicker to target the user themselves. She says once more he's radiating some weird murderous energy, and then he asks about the others, as she's only said 2 so far. She says the third is the mysterious job with the least amount of information, and it's the Order Breaker, which is his job. The reason it's mysterious is that every Order Breaker has different abilities. Like his Blue Lotus Flower, others can control their body size at will or create infinite clones. There are even Order Breakers who can stretch their bodies like rubber, and general job skills are divided into 4 ranks from C to S, but Order Breakers only have Z rank skills which exist outside that framework. She says that the reason Order Breakers are viewed as special is due to their unique exclusive skills. If an enemy learns their skills, the Order Breaker loses their greatest weapon. That's why she was scolded by her father about asking for it. But he's an irregular existence even among Order Breakers. As far as she confirmed, he could use at least 3 skills, and 2 of them are things only elementals can use. He says that teacher's not here to stop her in case she yaps too much. Then he asks what the last job is, he's never even heard of it. She goes to tell him, but says that he'll actually see one and it's punishment for him never telling her about himself. He agrees, and she says that the people he saved earlier are safe. Asking what he wants to do after this. He says he's going to clear the stage a few more times. She says that he really doesn't know anything, and stages have a cooldown time. This one is especially long so that at least he can clear it again in 2 days. He says that he actually didn't expect it. No wonder that Reiji dude wanted to dominate the stage. If he can't raise the stats of the true damage attack, he'll just go raise the Lotus Explosion instead, asking if there's a stage with a large number of beasts. She says that there's one she can think of, and the stage isn't on a high level, but the numbers are crazy high. Even at a low estimate there are at least 100 beasts, and many Awakeners back down just by seeing the numbers. But asks what he's going to do without an AoE skill. He says obviously he's going. She of course doesn't know about it because she didn't see it the last time he was in the stage. She says for someone without an AoE skill he's going to struggle a lot, but he tells her not to worry. Everyone overhears this, saying it's crazy he's ballsy enough for that, and that his shit must be dragging on the ground. Meanwhile, Reiji finally arrives, asking if there's really not a single person here, and his guard says that it seems the target's already left. He says it's only been 30 minutes, asking if he really cleared it that fast. The guard says it's hard to believe, but that seems to be the case, asking what they should do now. Reiji gets pissed, asking if there's any magic traces of his skills, and that they should track him down. Then they'll capture him alive and torture him. It jumps to somebody else saying that he never heard Reiji had such a strong guy by his side, and he shouldn't have taken the assassination request. If he didn't have the earth escape technique he would have been killed by him, and since he made it this far he should be safe until we see a wolf leaping straight at him biting his throat. A man says that it looks like he has something to say, and if he does he'll get the dog to ease up a bit. The man asks how he found him, and he tells him that his nose is sharp and that the scent of death that he gave off is something he can sense. He's the hunting hound named Charles. The guy begs to be spared, but Charles says that he can't do that as Reiji will get mad at him. Besides, his dog Death hasn't eaten human meat in a while, telling him to go ahead and start chowing down. It's like a pit bull at a daycare. He says it finally levels up as we see it's a B rank skill and it is a Shikigami summon. Its stats are also pretty decent. He then gets a phone call telling Reiji he's already finished. That's when he's told about Duke asking if someone really hit him in a weak point or something because his defense is so high. After being given his new task he tells his summon named Sparkling Cupcake that it's time to go hunt their new prey. He heads to the stage called the Locust Wasteland asking if this is really the place. He says it's nothing but wheat fields as far as he can see, wondering if there are really that many monsters here. She says that disaster beasts tend to choose environments they prefer when invading this world, so inferring the type of beast from the environment is one of the essential skills for an awakener. He says he sees, but there's not even a reception desk here. She says that the danger level of this stage is higher than what it's listed, so they're even discussing dismantling it. He says even though it's lower level than the one he just went to, why would they dismantle it? She says on a normal stage you can run away if you can't win, but here the beasts are aggressive, and their numbers are abnormally high. So even if he lets his guard down even a little he'll be surrounded by countless locusts and consumed alive down to nothing but his bones. He says that it's great to hear that there will be a lot of them. She asks if he's really in that much of a rush to die. He says he's not so desperate that he'd want to be eaten by bugs. He uses his wrist to get into the stage. She says he seems fine judging by the attitude, and he entered regardless of all the warnings she gave him, so whatever happens is his responsibility. Then she wonders what to do as she forgot to tell him that they spawn endlessly unless he defeats the boss. She needs to go inside and tell him, but then she senses something as she turns around and sees Charles and Sparkling Cupcake. Charles says that he's actually looking for someone, but inside we see Itsuki saying that it's actually pretty desolate. Inside he starts clapping to get the locusts to wake up. Some of them fly up, and he says that their individual levels are very low, but they meet the requirements for Lotus Explosion, so it's not a problem. He says none of them have any abilities to use, but there is a very large amount of them. He says this is extremely convenient to him as it saves him trouble if they group up, and once they enter the range of his skill he'll crush them at once. They begin to fly in as he uses his Lotus Explosion. It goes off, and we see the skill explosion range is just increasing over and over again as he's farming his infinite stats. The skill also levels up while consuming mana. We see that he's already at 110%, and he says that means he defeated 110 in one go. He says that only 10% of his mana output should be enough for this, and considering his remaining mana and recovery rate he can probably fire about 10 more shots. And if he keeps getting 100 per, his range will increase by over 1000%. If only the stage didn't have a cooldown this would be so much smoother. He is more surprised by the fact that the challenge success message is not appearing, and his skill Mimesis detects the ability of a C-rank skill named Mother's Will. He is surprised that there were survivors as more start swarming in. He says that must be the boss's skill, and he can't let his guard down as he assumed there wasn't one, and it's fortunate that he can expand his skill range with Lotus Explosion again, but the problem is he doesn't know where the boss is. In that case he has to defeat all of the small fry until the boss reveals itself as he farms another 100% for his ability exploding a whole group. He says the range of it is now 16 meters in diameter, and the effect is really nuts. But he has defeated so many yet he still doesn't even have an idea of where the boss is. We see it's actually down in the underground as they fly up from the cracks. He is surprised they spawn once more. As the analysis continues for Mimesis he says he can only use Lotus Explosion 9 more times, and no matter how many times they appear he will thoroughly destroy them, making sure he abuses the fact that he can grow infinitely. He does this over and over until he has done it about 7 times in a row. We see that his range increased by 990% and now has a 54.5 meter diameter. He says he has defeated 9 swarms now, but only has enough mana left for 1 more explosion. Yet it seems like there is literally no end to the monsters. There is no sign of the boss appearing either. One option is for him to retreat from the stage and challenge it again once the analysis is complete. But that is only something a third rate would do. No matter how many disaster beasts there are he is going to kill all of them as he uses 1 more explosion. It covers half of the field. He says with this it should be enough for a breather, but instead it seems like the numbers haven't decreased at all. He is more surprised by how the beasts seem to be shrinking in size, and he realizes now that the boss must be producing them infinitely. He says that if it is doing that, no matter how much he struggles, it will be useless unless he defeats the boss. While his mana is exhausted, his analysis will finish soon, and once it does, we see he acquires the ability Mana Detection, which allows him to consume mana to sense the flow of mana around him. Coincidentally, it has the same range as whatever he has for Lotus Explosion. Whenever he does sense an enemy unit, he recovers 10% of his mana. He says every skill he gets so far has been absolutely fucking busted. But he has kept Ageha waiting enough, so he should finish the stage for now. But due to him acquiring the skill, his stats go up yet again by 40 points, and he begins to detect where it is. It starts pulsing around the entire field until he finds it buried underground. He says that he now knows where it is, and he readies his true damage attack. Saying he'd love to see it try to use its children as shields, but it's going to be useless. As the distance for the attack has increased a ton, it's now at 120 meters, and it burrows into the earth, causing the boss to fly out. As soon as it does, he closes the gap with Thunderclap, and uses Black Ice to create an armor around him, and swipes down, breaking into pieces. He says that losing the queen threw them into chaos, and that he'll send them to their mothers soon as he starts farming them once more for the detection. The size has increased by 1,200%. The range is 65 meters, and the true damage distance is 131 meters. He says that was a really good harvest, and once the cooldown resets, he's going to challenge it and farm it again and try to get to at least 5 digits on the explosion range. He achieves a new record of 17 minutes, and he says that Ageha must be worried, and she'll probably act cold once he returns. But he can tell she's kind and caring, and he actually is into the fact that she's cold. As he exits, he says that he's sorry for making her worry, but instantly his eyes are full of anger as he sees her being held up by Charles. He says that he must be the guy that Reiji is looking for. Charles says that he was trying to get important information about him, but even in this state she wouldn't talk at all. Itsuki tells him to let go of her, and if he does, he'll let him off with just a beating. Charles laughs, saying that he shouldn't get too cocky as he's only level 0. Itsuki closes the gap at an instant using Thunderclap, and Charles, panicking, calls out for his dog to tank that shit. As he does, Mimesis begins to activate after recognizing the fact that it's a Shikigami. Itsuki says this means that the man in the hat is a Shikigami user, and as it goes up, Charles says that his movements aren't wasteful and his speed is fast, so it's no wonder that Duke lost. He probably didn't even have time to turn to metal, but he has both Sparkling Cupcake and a hostage on his side. As he starts squeezing her throat, Itsuki yells out for her, as his skill's at 34%. In a moment of distraction, Sparkling Cupcake takes the chance to bite straight at him, and Charles says that his bite force can crush any enemy with a defense stat below 300. The best thing he can hope for is getting his arm ripped off, but he's surprised at an instant as not only did he not bite through his arm, but Itsuki uses True Damage Beam, blowing a hole through the bottom of his head. He says that without a Shikigami user is basically defenseless. The analysis progress is also at 77%. Charles says maybe he doesn't know because he's a rookie, but his pet can be revived and that his dog possesses the B rank skill Respawn Desire, which also drastically shortens its respawn time. He tells Itsuki to sit there and become prey for Sparkling Cupcake. As it comes for his surprise attack, Itsuki uses his magic detection. He says he's been using this actively ever since he got it, and it seems to have been the right choice. As the analysis continues, he says that it's almost finished, and if the Blue Lotus appears, Charles might become suspicious. Charles says that his speed and power is superior to Sparkling Cupcake's, and he even has a detection skill, so he won't be able to land a surprise attack like this. So the only option he has is to use Ageha against him, saying that if he resists any further, he's going to kill her. Itsuki wants to complete the analysis without letting the Blue Lotus appear, but the analysis completes and he obtains the skill Shikigami Eater, and by directly touching a Shikigami of B rank or lower, he can make it his own, but he can only possess 2 of them. He's more surprised by the fact the Lotus didn't appear, and he says this is good, but because Mimesis was activated improperly. He wasn't fully healed or recovered. He says that this means there's a price for skipping the Blue Lotus, but since he fully recovered once during the last stage, he can fight it at almost full power without healing. And this skill of him being able to steal other Shikigamis seems incredible, and he might as well do it now. As he's going to yank this dude's dog, he puts his hand on Sparkling Cupcake's forehead. As Sparkling Cupcake is reeling from the attack, he kicks it, sending it flying all the way back to Charles. Charles calls Sparkling Cupcake useless, saying that he fed it all of the experience for what, and it needs to get the job done. He warns Itsuki once more that he will break her neck if he tries anything. Ageha tells him not to worry about her, but Itsuki raises his hands, telling him not to touch her. Charles says that if he had just behaved from the start, she never would have had to suffer. Itsuki then asks why he's targeting him, as he's never even met the dude. He says that if he's trying to fish for information, he supposes he can tell him since he's going to meet the guy anyways, but Reiji is furious at him for entering his stage without permission, and he introduces himself as Charles, saying he came here under his orders. Itsuki says he's going to have to go meet Reiji in person and settle this. Charles says that he's going to see him soon enough, and that Sparkling Cupcake is going to rip off his legs now. Reminding him if he values the woman's life, he shouldn't try to protect himself with that skill this time, and he tells Sparkling Cupcake to rip off both of his legs. At the same time, Itsuki tells Sparkling Cupcake that it needs to prove it's worthy of being his Shikigami as it bites off Charles' arm. He uses the chance to grab Ageha. Charles starts to scream, asking why the hell is his dog biting him, and Itsuki tells him it was a job well done, and that he's going to return the pain that Ageha felt 100 times over. Charles begs that he wait, saying that he was only following orders, he had no choice, and if he teams up with him, he can lure out Reiji. Itsuki says that's a good proposal. Charles smiles, saying that he's glad he fell for it, and he throws a surprise attack straight towards his face. Itsuki dodges, saying that he's more than enough to kill Reiji on his own, and tells Sparkling Cupcake to make him suffer the same way Ageha did, and rip him apart slowly. Charles says that was just a slip of the hand, and starts crying. As Sparkling Cupcake gets closer, he reminds him that he's its master, and he's fed it so much. Sparkling Cupcake opens his jaws and starts ripping him apart. Itsuki tells somebody that he knows they've been watching since he left the stage, asking how long they plan on hiding, and to show themselves as they step out from the fields. They appear asking if he really noticed. Itsuki then asks if they are a friend of Charles from earlier. They say no, they're not his enemy, they just have to explain themselves. Itsuki walks away though, saying that he doesn't have time to deal with them, telling Sparkling Cupcake that once it's done eating to follow him. Sparkling Cupcake fades out of existence, and the man says that even a mad dog like that obeys him and he might be able to save him. He introduces himself as Iberia, asking for Itsuki's name. He says that his fighting earlier was awesome, but there was a few close calls. Itsuki tells him, and Iberia says he knew that. He's also the same dude who took down Duke, but tells him he needs a hand, but also he'll pay him by offering mana stones or even a weapon. Itsuki ignores him, and Iberia is confused, saying that it's true that anyone would be happy enough if you paid them. Maybe what his old man said was a lie. As he recalls his old man saying that just like how in the desert a single cup of water is worth more than treasure, and rewards need ingenuity. Give a blade to someone seeking revenge, give medicine to someone who's injured, and that would be sufficient rewards for them. Iberia says he understands it now, since he walked all the way here. He can't move fast with an injured person, and even the nearest hospital is dozens of kilometers away, so if he strolls along like that she's gonna die, but he happens to have healing on hand and he can save her. Itsuki asks if it's true, and he says that he can't heal her completely right away, but he can save her life. He asks if it's okay to use it over your clothes, and the dude says that this isn't an ordinary bandage. It's a rare tool made from bandages worn by the Shadow Clan and the skin of the Kodama. Itsuki asks what he means, and he says that at his level he must have just awakened. So it's no surprise he doesn't know. Modern weapons don't work on beasts, that's why firearms can't be used against them, but crafters can create special anti-disaster beast tools using monuments and parts from disaster beasts. Equipment is divided into 4 ranks based on the crafter's level and the materials used, going from normal to rare to epic to unique. Normal equipment isn't much different from regular weapons besides being able to damage disaster beast and awakened. Rare equipment boosts some of the owner's stats. Epic equipment not only boosts stats, but also has special effects. And finally, something everybody strives for is unique weapon. It has massive stat boost and one-of-a-kind effects. And crafters themselves don't have much combat power and there aren't many of them, but because they can forge equipment they're respected by all awakened. He says his father must be a crafter then, and he says not just any. There are tons of crafters who can't even make one unique tool. And then there are only 10 across the 5 continents right now, and 3 of them are made by his dad. That's why everyone calls him the crafting king of the northern continent. Itsuki turns away, and he asks if he's even listening to him and says that he went all of his way to explain this, so why is he ignoring him? Itsuki then holds up the item he got from Charles' arm, saying that this was what he was using earlier. Iberia says that for him not to be fazed after hearing about his father is crazy, as any normal person would be sucking up to him. But he's thinking about the crossbow, saying he can reduce how often he uses his true damage attack and lower the risk of exposing his hand. Iberia tells him that's actually a rare tool. Itsuki says it's too bad he doesn't have any bolts for it, but he says that projectile weapons like this can assimilate ordinary ammo into tool ammunition, so not to worry about the arrows. It then disappears, and he says that's another feature of the tools. Once it is linked to an owner, it gets stored away and he can summon it again when he wants to use it. Itsuki says that's pretty convenient and thanks him for healing Ageha, saying that if there's anything he can help with to let him know. Once he's done here, he needs to go look for Reiji. Iberia says that he low-key thought he misheard the name earlier, and picking a fight with Reiji takes some serious guts. Itsuki asks if he's trying to talk him out of it, but he says no. That just means they share the same target. Itsuki asks if he pissed him off too, but Iberia says no, he just wants him to team up with him for the Savior Alliance National Tournament preliminaries the day after tomorrow. Itsuki says that he thinks only the top 10 advance to the main tournament, and he's been running stages non-stop these past few days to prep for it, but ask what that has to do with Reiji. Iberia says that the prelims are held in North District 4, and as the son of the district administrator there, Reiji is absolutely aiming for the tournament. Actually, his older brother is also a savior, so if he doesn't make the top 10 it'd be a disgrace to his family. So he's monopolizing all the stages in this district to level up. Itsuki asks why he would want to team up with someone like him to begin with when he's done nothing yet, he's already helped him. Iberia says that it's simple, bro is just strong. He can tell by instinct if they team up that he's going to pass. Itsuki says that he can tell he's younger than him and he'll have plenty of chances in the future, so why is he so fixated? Iberia goes to tell him that's because ever since he was little he watched his old man make equipment and every completed piece was like a perfect work of art, and his admiration for his dad only grew. So he always dreamed that someday he'd become an awakened and fight disaster beast using equipment made by his father. But a month ago after he awakened he asked his father to make him something, but he said it was too early for him. The only ones who can use his equipment are saviors. And so he kept begging him, and eventually he gave him the condition that if he passes the prelims he'll give him one piece. It is real, Iberia says that's why he absolutely has to win this year's preliminaries. Itsuki says with a father that amazing he should have people lining up to team up with him, and there's no need to team up with a level 0 like himself. Iberia says that his father thought the same thing. That's why before he left he told him that he needs to find people himself and he relies on his name, he won't give him his equipment. Itsuki says his dad's pretty strict. Iberia says according to his intel most of the strong participants have already been bought off by Reiji. The ones left are lone wolves who don't like teaming up or fixed teams. So he actually didn't have anyone else to ask. And 2 days ago he heard about someone who defeated Duke the other day and even broke a stage record. He searched and searched for him, and that's how he finally found him. Itsuki says he doesn't mind the team up, but first he needs to get her to a hospital. He continues yapping the entire time. He says this dude is fluent in Japanese. Then he starts to wonder how Saya and his homie, who we finally learn his name is Rito. He says that he hopes they both became awakened, and hopefully they'll be entering the prelims too. Bro is still just yapping about the team name. It jumps to homie as he is sneezing. Saya asks if he caught a cold, but he says no. Itsuki must be talking about him. She says that she never thought they'd be apart for this long and she wonders how he's doing. Rito says she's a strange one, and if she was that worried why'd she run away after he defeated the beast? She gets embarrassed and attacks him, splashing his face with water, and he says that's dirty. She says dirty or not, they're in combat practice and it's his fault for letting his guard down, asking their teacher what he thinks. He says the national tournament prelims start the day after tomorrow, so they should stop fooling around. Saya's actually level 11 already. And Rito is level 10. They're both elementalist. I don't know why his name is different, but their stats are also pretty good. Rito just wants to see his boy. It takes us to Reiji now, and he's looking at his experience stones asking where the hell Charles is, as it's unusual for him to be late. His guard says something unexpected could have happened. He says that he has nothing but incompetent people around him. His guard says that they should have the subordinate search for him, but Reiji says to forget it. The preliminaries are his top priority. If he loses he's going to be locked into a confinement room, and he doesn't want that. Then he asks about something else, and the guard says that out of the 3,000 participants they persuaded over 800 to cooperate, and all of them are level 5 or higher. Reiji says that he knew he was the only one he could rely on. The guard tells him that's the last stone. As he uses it he says to crush the commoners this is more than enough. As he's now level 12 we see that his job is elementalist, specifically lightning. Sometime later, We see Itsuki inside the hospital and he apologizes to Nento saying that he's sorry for putting Ageha through such an ordeal. He wonders what to do, saying that he could dispose of Reiji if he would like, but Itsuki says that he'll handle it. Nento says that he'll listen, wanting to know the details. Iberia says that now that he understands who his teacher was, he realizes why his father's name didn't make him react at all. And he low-key wants his autograph. Itsuki pretty much recaps the story, saying that's why he's having Iberia join him for the preliminaries. Nento says he understands asking Ageha how she is. She says that her butterfly healed her, and it's also thanks to Iberia treating her with a rare artifact. Nento says that since he possesses the rare artifact tree spirit bandages, it means that he's Aiden's son. Iberia is surprised, saying that not only does he know of the artifact, he also knows of his father, and he has to act in a way worthy of his father's son, so he does some really cringy poses, saying that he is Aiden's father. They all kind of stare at him, and Itsuki says he got it backwards. Embarrassed, he apologizes, saying that he is indeed his son. And Nento says in that case he's glad he saved his daughter, and after the preliminaries are over, he'll go see his father with Itsuki. But since they have tournament prep, they should keep going, but they'll both be watching tomorrow. They get excited, saying that they'll see him next time. Ageha says that her dad must really like Itsuki, but he seems to have a strong self-destructive urge when facing disaster beasts due to trauma, but that urge weakens only when there are people he wants to protect by his side. Nento says that's exactly why he had her there, as he planned to have him want to protect her, so he would mellow out a bit. Nento then says that regarding the attack at his school, it was determined it wasn't an accident, but a planned act. She asks what he means, and he says that the number of traitors siding with the beast has only been increasing, and while the scale differs, there have been attacks targeting commander-in-chiefs and other consonants too. And as of now, the future of humanity is pitch black, but surely Itsuki will illuminate it and become the light of hope. It takes us straight to the preliminary venue, and he says there are more people than he thought. Iberia says that he heard that as soon as word spread that Nento was coming to watch, people who weren't participating suddenly changed their minds, so the number of participants jumped from 3,000 to 5,000. Reiji is there as well, saying that old geezer is creating a variable for them. His guard tells him to be rest assured, but he doesn't know what he's talking about, because there are a bunch of no-names who joined last minute. Saya and Rito are there as well, and they notice all the red bandanas on people's arms asking why they're so unfashioned. And they wonder if they should be wearing them. We finally see the host, who is named Saurayu, saying that he's going to explain the rules now. The preliminaries are divided into two areas, outer and inner. In the first stage of the preliminaries, you will start from the 4 cardinal directions in the outer area, and you will compete based on the time it takes to reach the inside. The moment you enter the inner area, your ranking will be recorded on your wristband, and only the top 300 will advance to the next stage. Saya says that having that many people eliminated on the first stage is rough. Saurayu says they are permitted to carry up to 2 artifacts per person, and to team up with whoever they want. All that matters is results. Iberia tells Itsuki what to look at, as he spots Reiji. Saurayu says he'll explain the second stage later. Iberia says that the ones next to Reiji are probably the participants that he's bought off. And for now they should get to the inner area as fast as possible. And then ambush him while they lay in wait. But Itsuki walks forward and Iberia says that he's completely ignoring him, asking if he's crazy. Reiji's men ask who he is, but realize he doesn't have a red ribbon on, saying that they should be careful. Saurayu tells them that it's time for the first stage to begin. And he really likes the fact that there are so many participants today. There's another guy up there with them saying that in their time, there were quite a few participants over level 15. Yet these groups all seem to be lacking. This guy looks a lot like Toji, but his name is Akira. We also learn that he participated the same time that Wajin did. And he was level 18 while Wajin was level 21. Toji says that he's saying it's going to be boring if there aren't any newcomers. Like Wajin at least. And he hopes there is one. Saurayu tells him to not be foolish. That's a once-in-a-century genius. Koji then tells Nento that he heard that there's a student who right after awakening defeated a level 8 skeleton and Saurayu became his pupil, asking if it's true. Saurayu says defeating a level 8 right after awakening is impossible, but Nento says that it is true. That person is down there. And Saurayu says the second pupil of Nento's must have exceptional talent. And he asks which one it is. And he starts going through the people that are notable to him. Rito is up there, but he says it's not him. Same with Saya. And some other girl who's level 16 and a wood element user. Her name is Hannah. Nento doesn't say a word. And Saorayu asks if it's really not one of them as Hana has the highest level amongst the participants. Koji asks if there are even level zeros. Saorayu says there are quite a few, but they're just going to get crushed. At the same time, Reiji is pointing, laughing at Itsuki for being level 0. And they ask if he got lost. He raises his crossbow arm thingy, as Reiji recognizes it belonging to Charles, asking who the hell he is. Itsuki says that he's been looking for him. Reiji says he doesn't believe that a level 0 took down Duke. He must have come here under someone's orders to rattle him. And he tells his boys to deal with him. As Reiji runs away, he says that he doesn't have time to waste on trash like him. As they start to surround Itsuki, Toji says that there are 3 level 6s and 2 level 7s, so the outcome is obvious. If he begs for his life he might be able to keep it. Iberia says that he can take one out himself, but no matter how strong Itsuki is, taking on 4 at once is still too much. He has no choice but to use his trump card. One of the dudes get right into his face saying that he thought that there might be some tough opponents waiting, but since their first one's a level 0, this shit's light work. Itsuki tells him to move and the dude's so surprised he starts laughing. Koji says that he likes his attitude, and if he's about to die he'll save him. The guy tells Itsuki that he's going to crack his head open and see what's inside of it. But his face literally dents and he gets sent flying backwards. Itsuki said that he already mentioned to move. Koji asks how he just one-shot somebody that's a much higher level than him. His boys are surprised since he was a level 7. One of them says they can't panic here and uses a B rank skill called flamethrower, saying that it's going to burn him to a crisp. As it flies straight towards Itsuki, Iberia says that he doesn't even have time to use an artifact as it's too fast. As the attack starts to erupt, his boys say that it's overkill to use against a level 0. He says deaths during the prelims happen all the time and if he's going to blame anybody he should blame himself. But one of them says that something's weird. As they realize that the flames are being dispersed, Iberia asks what's going on, saying that since he blocked the wide area flame attack that was impressive, but Itsuki tells him to get away from him. But we already know that his black ice skill deals against anything that is related to fire of at least a B rank or lower. We see his defense go up. Itsuki says he had to verify the passive effect of the defense skill going up. One of his men asks if that ice thing is his skill but says there's no water element user, so how can he use it? Itsuki tells him to try it once more as he's not even going to try blocking it this time. He asks if he's really mocking him but tells him a man doesn't go back on his word. Itsuki says he promises and the dude says that this time he'll finish him off with his strongest move as he uses the same skill but an overheat variant. As it flies straight towards Itsuki he says the power has definitely increased from before but it's still a fire attribute skill. As he starts to get consumed by it his boys say that he shouldn't have done it, but he says that with his attack power just now it rivals at least level 8s, but it took away all of his mana in an instant, but it is his finishing move. Though it's a waste to use on such a low level. At least they can move on now, but we see him stumbling backwards surprised and Itsuki says if it's the same skill from the same target his passive effect of black ice won't trigger again. Now the verification is done, it's time to end it. The guy is just surprised that he blocked the attack and his boy says that the ice skill is powerful but he's already figured out his weakness. He launches an attack called Fire Volley as he uses sheer quantity to win. Black ice activates as we see a giant explosion. He says that even if he has a powerful skill a level 0's mana pool is limited and if they whittle down his mana until he can't produce that ice they win. Itsuki meets his hands and the guy is surprised that he closed the gap so fast. As Itsuki is now using Black Ice's full armor he says even after taking that many fireballs the passive only triggered once. The guy says that if his strong point is speed then is his power. Itsuki asks if he's really even putting any force into it and kicks him in the face saying that he'll make it easy since it looks tough for him. Itsuki continues analyzing the skill saying that it calculates based on the defense value before reinforcement rather than after. He asks if the last two were lightning element users telling them to bring it on as he wants to check the thunderclap passive effect. They then start to inhale copium saying that he must be messing with his stats and they're fake. Itsuki says that he's not going to let them escape so they shouldn't even think of it. They both start to use their abilities and one of them is the same as Oinki's the Silver Serpent. Itsuki uses the thunderclap and it nullifies the attacks and defeats the both of them. Koji says that he's taken out several Awaken that have way higher levels than him like Child's Play wondering who he is. Itsuki says that means Thunderclap's passive is just like Black Ice and it doesn't increase more than once for the same skill from the same target. Iberia says that he can't believe he actually knocked out everyone. He thought it would be a tough fight but he never imagined he'd be this strong. He then asks what kind of abilities he's using as the original flamethrower dude says there's no way he's level 0. Asking who the hell they are. Iberia says that if he really wants to know he'll tell them, and Itsuki asks what that means. Iberia says they are double E and to remember that because someday that name will be known throughout the continent. Itsuki drags him away saying that shit was cringe, but Iberia says they need to keep promoting. Even the guy who attacked them says that was really lame. Back to Reiji. He says that level 0 must be getting his shit cooked right now, but that crossbow is definitely Charles, so he'll have to look into it later, and that no one in this area should be able to capture Charles except for a savior. Somebody flies past him. The guy says that unlike most people he specializes in speed before he gets shocked from behind. He asks how the hell the attack hit him when he was at full speed. Reiji puts his foot on his head saying that's what happens for running ahead of him. He tells everybody else behind him to get a grip as he needs to conserve his stamina for the second stage, and they shouldn't even waste his time with pieces of trash like this. Nento recognizes him as Reiji. Sour Ayu says that the kid is so arrogant it speaks to the upbringing that he had, but it's not against the rules, so there's nothing they can really do about it. Reiji continues saying that, thanks to his subordinates, his stamina is still almost full, and with this he can pass the second stage easily. They're now right before the inner area, and he says that was really not that bad until he hears his name being screamed by Itsuki. He turns surprised, asking who just called him without honorifics. Everybody says it wasn't them. Someone says it was the level 0 in the back. He says there's no way, as Itsuki and Iberia slowly make their way to the front. He says that there were way too many for just a level 0 to take out, and then he must have bought them off. He gets pissed, asking him how far he's going to follow him, reminding him that he's level 0 trash. Itsuki tells him that he's going to stay right here until they settle this. Iberia says that he's literally just been carried here. Anytime they met somebody they were instantly taken out by Itsuki. But Reiji tells him he doesn't have time to play with him. Though he did prepare some playmates, telling everybody to jump his shit. They start laughing at the fact that he's a level 0. And Iberia starts trying to count them, but says that there's too many to actually count, asking what to do. Itsuki tells him to hold on to his head as he grabs onto his hood. He jumps past every single one of them and grabs onto the back of Reiji's collar and throws him backwards into his group. As Iberia gets thrown forward into the inner area. He says that his phrasing earlier must have not gotten through, so he'll rephrase it. Until they settle things, he won't let any of them leave. Saya and Rito finally make it into the inner area, ranking both 4th and 5th. They both realize now that the Red Ribbon people were working together. They said they thought they were among the fastest, so for them to be beaten is crazy. We see a man named Gaku saying that it's crazy to think he's only 3rd. And a woman named Akagami who is ranked 2nd. Ranked 1st is none other than Hana. And she's level 16, which we already knew. Saya says knowing Itsuki he's probably acting alone, and if he's being obstructed like they were, it might be a little hard. Rito says that somebody's literally flying in, and when she looks over, Iberia bounces along the ground and slides across it. He yells out for Itsuki, and both Rito and Saya are surprised. And they realize now that he must be on the other side, dealing with the Red Ribbon Army. Sour Ayu says that he's just one step away from the internal area, so why is he so fixated on Reiji? Ageha looks worried because she knows she had something to do with it. And Sour Ayu tells Toji to go help if something goes wrong. Koji though says that just now he was putting out an incredible burst of speed, and he wonders if even he could have done that at his age. Reiji says that he keeps getting in his way over and over, and to get ready, as what's about to start isn't just a battle, but it's going to be a complete fucking execution. It's literally a 100 versus 1. Itsuki says passing the preliminaries is secondary to him. Right now, avenging Ageha is his top priority. Reiji yells, telling his men to finish it, as the army starts collapsing in on him. The first guy up uses an ability called Fire Punch, and Itsuki catches it with black ice and punches him in the face, one hitting him. The rest realize that this is going to be a little rough, but realize that instead of going in one by one, they need to jump together. Itsuki says that's fine with him, and he's ready to end this farce already. As he starts to use his Lotus Explosion, it swirls violently before sending out a massive shockwave across the battlefield. Rito, Iberia, and Saya are all just surprised. Gaku asks what the hell that was. Akagami says an explosion of that scale is nothing but a snack to her. Where'd that ego come from? Hana doesn't say a single thing, but Sour Ayu is so surprised that it's a level 0 attack, as the power is one thing, but how can he use a skill that doesn't belong to his job? Koji looks super confused, and Ageha says this explains his confidence against the wondering what else he's hiding. Itsuki says that 30% of his output should be enough, since his opponents are human, and he has to hold back enough that they don't get deleted. He tells Reiji it's just the 2 of them now, and Reiji says there were over 100 of them, Yet he took them out in seconds, asking why he's so obsessed with him. Itsuki says he's the one who targeted him first and injured his friend, so today he's going to return the pain she felt back to him. Reiji yells once more, bringing up his dad's name, and charges straight at him, saying that their foundations are different, and he'll kill him. He uses a B-rank skill called Lightning Cannon. As it flies past Itsuki, he dodges by sidestepping. As mimesis activates, he closes the gap, hitting him in the chest. He asks how this is the speed of a level 0, as it's impossible to win. Panicked about the situation, he tells his guard to help, and we finally learn his guard's name is 40. 40 runs forward, saying it's a rule violation, but he can't afford to care about appearances anymore as he dashes off the spectator platform. Reiji says that 40 is a level 35 awakened, and he's going to get torn to shreds. Nento tells Toji to go cook that guy, and he says understood. As 40 gets close, Itsuki detects him with his magic, but says that it's not just one person. As Toji flies in behind and lands on the floor with him, telling Itsuki to continue. Itsuki tells Reiji that it looks like his lifeline isn't coming today. Reiji gets scared, saying that his father is the administrator of the North District 4, and his brother is a member of the Savior Alliance, telling him that he shouldn't lay a hand on him. Of course, he pummels his head into the floor, and Itsuki says with this Ageha's avenged. She starts to catch some serious feels. Saorayu wonders why he's looking over here. Itsuki says that if he pauses his analysis now, he can reset his stamina once during the second phase guaranteed. Saya then calls out to him and he's surprised as he sees her in the inner barrier. She says that he should hurry up inside, as he's going to catch a cold. He walks over saying it's been a while, and he is now ranked 7th. Iberia cries, and Rito says that he missed him. They both hug him, and Rito asks who the hell he is to get so close. Iberia says that if he's that curious, he'll tell him he's his partner. Rito says he's never heard about him teaming up with someone else, calling Itsuki a traitor. Saya is more surprised by the fact that it's more rare for him to make friends. Iberia asks how he's a traitor, saying if they were a duo, what's their team name? Rito says they're not children, so why would they have one, asking if they do. Iberia says of course, and Rito asks for it again. Itsuki says not to say it. But Iberia gives him a super cool pose, saying that it's the double E. Rito laughs his ass off, saying that shit is awful. While Iberia gets annoyed, Saorayu says the second phase will begin shortly, and since those who haven't made it are disqualified, in the second phase they will fight a calamity spirit beast alone in the testing grounds for an hour. They're excited for the second phase, and Toji says that he's also been looking forward to this, and he wants to see what all of them are made out of. Once they head inside, Saya says this place is huge. I forgot to mention that there are 500 participants and he only ranked 7th in their area. I think. Or maybe it just cut out every bit after. Anyways, Iberia talks about how gloomy it is while Rito asks if his level is really fixed to 0. Itsuki says yeah, and Rito says if that's the case how is he getting stronger when his stats shouldn't be going up either. Iberia says he's curious too, but Itsuki says that his teacher told him not to tell anyone. Saya as well butts in saying that an order breaker's skills are at a national secret level so he shouldn't just be telling them. Saorayu walks over asking everybody if they're ready. Iberia looks surprised and everybody starts talking about Nento and Toji saying this is a gathering of legends. Apparently Toji is a big name. Saorayu says that he will explain the rules for the second stage. Various beasts will appear in the trial grounds. Kill points vary depending on the difficulty. Beginner mobs are worth 100. Normal is 500. Hard is 1000. Nightmare is 5000. There is a 1-minute break after defeating a beast. After that it will be forcibly moved to the next difficulty. Gaku says that he's going straight for the nightmare class. Itsuki says that he has something he'd like to ask. People see that he's level 0 asking how the fuck he even passed the first stage. Saorayu tells him to shoot for it. Itsuki asks if nightmare class is the highest difficulty. He's surprised and Toji just smiles. People start to think that he's just a show-off because there's no way a level 0 would be able to fight a beginner class let alone a nightmare level. Even Gaku thinks that he's nothing more than talk. Saorayu says technically there is no upper limit to the difficulty of the beast and he'll understand once he actually tries to defeat one. Itsuki says that's good. Rito tells him that it's useless to think about it. Nightmare class is at least level 10 or higher and they'd be lucky if they could even defeat a hard class. Saorayu says the points earned in the qualifiers can be carried over to the main tournament. In other words, whether or not you can join the Savior Alliance in the future depends on your performance today. Rito gets excited. And Iberia says that he has no choice but to use something, but doesn't say what in typical Manhwa fashion. Itsuki says that he has no choice but to use Wagen's previous record as an indicator of how many he needs to beat, but also an opportunity to surpass him. Everybody starts to get teleported to the trial grounds, and Itsuki says it's not different from a normal stage. The first round is 10 beginner class beasts. He says finally he's been waiting for this and he can't raise his stats with them, so he has to finish it quickly. In the control room, Saorayu says that he seems to be watching the level 0 quite a bit. Koji says that he's interesting, but Saorayu asks why he doesn't want to watch the level 16. Koji tells him that he should watch too as the beasts leap at him. Itsuki cleaves through all of them in an instant. Saorayu's surprised, saying that usually it takes several minutes. Koji says that he told him that he's more interesting. Saorayu says there are a lot of enemies, and while they're only level 1 he didn't think he'd be able to kill them that fast, but the next opponent is level 8, so killing it in a second should be impossible as it is a normal class salamander. Saorayu says that facing a beast 8 levels higher than himself will be a struggle, but Toji says that he disagrees. Nento asks about the other participants. Saorayu says that he low-key just got too absorbed and he'll switch the multi-screen so they can watch everything. Ageha can tell that her father is trying to divert attention away from Itsuki, and Saorayu says that it seems most participants are still fighting the beginner class. Hana is the only one keeping up with Itsuki though. Ageha says this is bad as he is being consumed by the salamander's flames. Saorayu says maybe he used up all of his stamina on the hound so he won't be able to dodge this and that they should get the medical team. But Toji tells them to wait because they've all seen him tank fire attacks before as he uses his black ice to negate all of it and then swings straight towards the salamander, and it takes a second before it falls into pieces, but it was a grand total of 5 seconds. Saorayu is more surprised that he beat it unarmed, and Toji says that he could have killed it in a second, so why did he go out of his way to take the hit? Of course we know it's because of his passive skill for infinite scaling. He has the option to rest for a minute, but he decides to just skip it. Koji says that this difficulty is where participants' speed and combat sense are put to the test. When an electric rhino attacks, it channels electricity through its horn, unleashing a dual physical and lightning attack, and if he takes that, either his body will be pierced by the horn or he'll be paralyzed, unable to move. To beat an electric rhino you have to use your speed to maneuver and strike when it's exhausted, although also it's level 10, but then he's surprised as he walks straight up to the horn. He says this is perfect for testing his defense. The rhino gets annoyed and hits him, sending him flying away as he's soaring through the air. Ageha panics, but Toji says that everything this guy does is just unpredictable, and he's always showing them things that they couldn't even think of. Of course we know he absorbed the attack, giving him an additional plus 5% to his agility. He says that most attacks from level 10 or below won't be able to hurt him at all, so it's time for him to settle this. He uses his thunderclap to boost his agility by another 50% as the rhino thinks that it's finished and starts to zone out until Itsuki lands on its head and pierces its skull with black ice once more, and it only took 7 seconds. Koji says that his total time so far is less than 15, and he's not just faster than he was in his youth, but he hasn't even gone all out yet. Saorayu says that he knows just as well as he does the next enemy. It's one that is extremely dangerous. His claws will tear something apart in an instant, and his mouth spits out iron chains that swallow everything, and its body is covered head to toe in armor. This is the ultimate goal for all participants, and it's the most terrifying calamity beast in the qualifiers. The nightmare class beast is called the Purgatory Giant, and it is level 15. Itsuki readies his true damage ability and blows its head off in one shot, which we already knew was going to happen, but everybody else is just surprised. But since the monster classifies as having a higher defense, it means that he got more scaling from it now. He says it's time for the next one as the spectator room is just oddly silent. It only took him 3 seconds to kill it. It takes us to the other participants. Saya shoots a water beam straight through one of the dog's heads. It is a C-rank skill called Water Bullet. She says that if she is to defeat the remaining 2, she can advance to normal class. Gaku is already on the normal class progress while Hana just completed it. They then get told that somebody has already made it to nightmare class, and they are all surprised, asking how the hell somebody is so fast, but Saya knows that it's Itsuki. Itsuki says it's time for the next one. And Saorayu asks how he killed a Purgatory Giant in a single bullet, asking what the hell is the deal with that black orb. Koji says that they should increase the difficulty and see how far he can go. It's now time for 2 Purgatory Giants, and he says he was wondering what to expect, but they just increase the numbers. As they begin roaring, he says that while it's screaming he'll take care of the other one, and he blows its head smooth off, of course gaining more stats. Saorayu asks if there is no limit to how often he can use this. Koji says that it is a powerful skill, but it has a fatal flaw. As the Purgatory Giant closes the gap, he says this is faster than anything he's seen so far. Koji explains that because of their huge bodies they're often mistaken for being slow, but that's not the case. Suara tells him to get to the point as he readies another shot. It flies to its head. Koji says that as a racial trait they possess no magic power, but in exchange every other stat is significantly enhanced, so despite that huge body it's actually a speed type. As it dodges the attack, Itsuki is surprised. Koji says that it's true that the black orb deals massive damage, but its flight speed isn't fast. He used the giant's habit of screaming before battle to launch a surprise attack and that his combat sense is certainly good, but if he can't increase the flight speed of that orb he won't be able to advance past this point. As the attack comes in, it connects and it sends him flying back. There's multiple shock waves like that shit broke the sound barrier. He crashes into the wall saying that it means it can dodge from medium range. Suara says that knowing it won't hit yet still using it means that he must have another trick up his sleeve. Koji asks if that's really the case and they wonder why he's smiling. Itsuki says in this case he's going to close the distance as he uses Thunderclap and starts running straight back towards the giant. It comes down for another heavy attack and it shatters the ground sitting on a massive ripple. Ageha looks horrified. Once more Suara says that he's going to call the medical squad, but Nento this time says to wait. Koji says that it's true the strike's power is immense, but it's meaningless if it doesn't hit, as when it raises its fist there's nothing underneath it. Itsuki calls out to it and when the purgatory giant turns its head is also blown off as he fires another true damage attack straight to its dome. Of course it levels it up once more. The time it took to kill it was 12 seconds. Ageha says that it's rare to see him get so heated. Suara wonders what she's talking about and Nento looks at her too. She starts to get embarrassed. She tries to play it off nonchalantly, but just digs herself deeper into the hole as she keeps bragging about him. He says that she's become really talkative since they last met and Nento just stares at her. Suara asks Toji how he knew that Itsuki would dodge the attack. He says that his speed isn't much different from a purgatory giant's, but when electricity runs through his body his speed increases a ton. Once that happens there's no way the giant's attack would hit him. Suara says that he had succeeded in defeating 2 of them, but there were some pretty dangerous moments. With his current points first place is guaranteed, if it were him he'd stop here. But Itsuki of course wants to surpass Wagen, saying that he won't stop not even for a second, as now it's time for 3 giants as they start spawning and he insta-kills one of them. Toji says that he expected no less from him. Suara says that he recalls Toji as well failed on stage 4. Toji says it couldn't be helped. Suara says even for him who possesses one of the strongest bodies, phase 3 was almost a limit, so he wonders what will happen to Itsuki. The giant closes the gap and squeezes, but he leaps out over the top. Itsuki says that he's going to increase his agility with Thunderclap and close the distance while getting behind them. As he fires the next shot it blows through its head and he gains more flight speed. He says it's time for the third one as he falls into its mouth and it swallows him. As he starts falling down its throat, he says he's going to tear it out from the inside and he goes full output on the Lotus explosion. We see fire from its throat before it completely explodes as the entire area around it gets decimated. He gains a +1 to the range, but we know that's not much because he can go farm the locust. Suara recognizes it as the ability that he saw in phase 1 to get rid of all the other participants. Itsuki says that his magic power is completely bottomed out, but as long as the beast keeps coming the passive effect of the magic detection skill will replenish it as he restores 40% of his magic after sensing 4 enemies. Suara says that if he clears this he will surpass Toji's old self. Koji says that no one except Wagen has cleared it. And he's looking forward to see how the kid does. Itsuki says every time the speed of the true attack ability increases the hit rate rises as well. At this rate if he increases the flight speed a few more times he will be able to hit them without having to close the distance at all. But his magic is limited so he can't afford to waste even a single orb attack. As he's readying it iron chains fly in from the purgatory giants and start to wrap around him. He looks caught off guard as one of them whips its neck causing him to soar into the air and makes him miss his attack as it only flies to the side of the giant's head. He realizes he made a mistake as it slams him into the floor. He says that he can't get any leverage in this position. As it starts to squeeze him it shatters half the bones in his body causing him to spit up blood. It then tosses him to the side like a toy it's done with. As he begins to bleed out on the floor, Suara tells Toji to get his ass in there and save him. Koji asks if this is really as far as he goes, saying that it's just like him in the past. And he goes to save him, but Nento says to wait. It's not over yet. Suara says he can't decide if it's not over. And Ageha agrees. Koji does too, but Nento says that he still has a trump card. Suara asks how he knows. Nento tells him to look in his eyes. Those are not the eyes of someone who has accepted their end. Itsuki starts to think about Ligna saying that he's done everything he could to hone himself to defeat him. As he continues his analysis skill, he says during the fight with Reiji the skill activated on its own, but since he paused at the last second it was all for prep for a moment like this. As the lotus starts to envelop him he gains the ability Thunderbreaker. Ageha says that she hasn't seen this in a while, then Saorayu asks if it's one of his skills, but asks how it's going to help him. Koji wonders why she's so happy about it, and we see Thunderbreaker absorbs B rank or lower lightning attacks into his body and increases his agility by 100%. It can absorb 5 at a time. For the passive though it can scale infinitely. As his broken limbs start to heal he gains a +20 to all stats as well. One of the giants punches the lotus and Itsuki blocks it with his bare hand, saying that from here on he's going to go all out, as we see his stats now total over 1,300. Saorayu says that that's more healing power than a dedicated healer, and between that ridiculous wide range move how does he have so many skills? Itsuki starts to rapid fire, blowing their heads off one after the other, and takes out all 4 lightning quick. Though it took 31 seconds, the actual fight was less than 2. He says that with his current power he won't lose no matter how many giants show up, and he starts speedrunning this shit because the orb is so fast now that he doesn't even have to get close and he can just shoot it out like a railgun and delete them whenever he wants. He easily clears through stage 5 and even stage 6. Everybody is just speechless. And they say that this place is like hell, and they're starting to wonder who the real monster is and if it's Itsuki or the Purgatory Giants. He asks where the next phase is because the giants stopped spawning a while ago. Saorayu says he didn't believe this would happen and presses on the intercom telling him that it's over as he defeated every single giant they've had prepared. Itsuki says he thought there was supposed to be no limit on the upper difficulty. He doesn't even remember how many he killed or how many points he earned, but since he's hit the upper limit, his gap with Wagen probably isn't that large. Plus he's achieved the other goal of increasing the speed, as it is now 38 meters a second, and a 3,800% increase. He says it's faster than the average car now. Something starts to swirl behind him and he turns, only to be relieved that it's not an enemy, and he says since he can't level up, the experience from the beast turns straight into karma stones. Saorayu says that's at least 10,000 experience points, and Nento explains the situation. Koji says that he low-key thought he was faking his stats, but to think he can't level up is crazy. Saorayu comes up with a big brain play of letting him kill everything, while the person that he's with absorbs the experience. Then jokingly says that he's glad he was born a human, because if he was a disaster beast it would have been crazy. Itsuki picks up the crystal, saying with this he's done everything he needed to, and goes to leave. As he walks towards them, we see the points he's earned, which is 106,000. I wonder how Wagen got more when he literally cleared out all the mobs. Saorayu says that he's a bundle of potential, asking if he will join him as he'll be a worthy mentor. Itsuki says that he'll pass because he already has a teacher. Saorayu says that even if he does, no ordinary person could mentor a talent like that. Koji says that he said he's good, and if he keeps pushing he's going to dislike him. Saorayu says that he'll convince him somehow. Itsuki recognizes him as the guy who helped take out 40, and he says that it was nothing big besides he's Nento's student, so it makes sense to help. I don't know why Saorayu is surprised, I guess they just didn't tell him, and he double checks it. Nento says that's true, and says that it actually makes sense now. Nento says that he saw his performance, asking if there are any injuries, saying if there are Ageha could heal him. She says that she was excited for the next stage, but sadly it never came, asking if he has any injuries. He says he doesn't, but his stamina is low so he needs to rest for a bit. Saorayu says Nento's last student did the exact same thing. Itsuki asks if that means he made it to phase 6 too, but Saorayu says no. Phase 4 was the max back then, so they added up to phase 6 after that. But this isn't enough, so he will need to increase it again. I still don't understand how the point system works. How did he not get more than Wagen? Regardless, Nento says that stage 2 is only just getting started for the other participants. Rito finishes with the electric rhino, same with Saya, and he says that he thought they would definitely go past hard rank. Saorayu says not everybody is as strong as him, most can't even clear the normal rank. Those who took down the rhino are all locked in for the top 10. Itsuki says if they're finished, why aren't they coming out yet? Saorayu explains that they can't leave the field unless there's a special exception. Koji says that it looks like another participant reached nightmare rank, and with his gear, Gaku could probably take down at least one giant. Akagami is also fighting it with her Shikigami, and it turns out the cat is actually a steroid goblin as it turns into a giant of its own and starts to have a kaiju fight. Itsuki asks if all Shikagamis can change forms like that, but Ageha says it's the first time she's seen one that can transform, as Shikagamis come in so many varieties, and their abilities are full of mysteries. He says that he actually forgot about the dog he took from Charles, but from now on he's going to feed it the experience points. But now, since Saya and Rito have finished, he should just leave. But he then realizes that Iberia is still there, saying that must be the armor his dad gave him. Of course it is, it's the strongest epic gear his old man made for him. It's called Dragon Gear, and it gives him a fat stat boost. He says this gear has a will of its own, and chooses its master. It took a lot for it to finally be able to be used, and the attack and agility go up by 20 for every minute of equip time, but if it's longer than 15, he'll have insane penalty, so he needs to finish it before then. He says that he got the announcement about Itsuki clearing Nightmare, and he doesn't want to drag him down, as they're double E after all. Itsuki says he's a full-blown berserker. Stage 2 ends, as Saorayu says that only the top 10 in points advance to the national tournament, plus the top 2 get special rewards at the main event. Gaku says no one, but Hana has got more points than him, so that special reward is his. Bro, did he just not get the notification? He then announces the top 10, and we see the gap from first to second is well over 100,000 points, and everybody starts freaking out. Somebody even says that Wajan's record was only 60,000. I don't know if the numbers are even accurate anymore, the translation is so ass. But he asks how he's in third, he's never even heard of this Itsuki guy. Hana says that she would love to cross swords with him, and Saya says the gap is so large, she guesses combat jobs really aren't for her. Saorayu says the national rankings are out, and Itsuki is 65,000 points ahead of number 2. Ageha says that she can't see his face, but she can feel it, and that her dad is really happy because the new sun of humanity is shining even brighter. Iberia says that he knew Itsuki would take first, but he didn't think it would be that big, but since he took down a giant, it was worthy of their duo. Itsuki says that he low-key surprised him, and Iberia says he surprised himself. With this, the preliminaries are now finished. It takes us to the South Continent, First District. A Socrates lookalike meditates, as some soldiers are asking why they were dragged out here at the ass crack of dawn to watch this old dude meditate. His boy tells him to watch his mouth, as that's the supreme commander of the South Continent that can foresee the future. In other words, he's a prophet. He asks why the barrier always goes up before the notice comes, and if he really can predict the future, to tell them ahead of time. His friend says that Balgar can only predict a tiny bit of the future, but he's the only person who can stand toe-to-toe with the supreme commander. Balgar opens his eyes widely and starts screaming. Apparently his predictions are 100% accurate. He says that the North Continent is in danger, a massive calamity spirit beast assault is about to hit it, including some that are well over level 100. Some time later, Itsuki says his total stats have now exceeded 1,500. And they're looking pretty hefty. He says that he's heard that leveling up once gives you 50 stat points, and that it would put him at about level 30 for a normal awakened. But since he has infinite scaling, through the skill passives, and his magic can also recover infinitely, his attack is the only one with no way to raise it, asking if there's really no way. Rito then yells telling him food's ready, and that he made a lot of his favorites. He says that it's fine for now, and that Mimesis might let him get a skill that raises his attack power in the future. Nento is there as well, eating with his mask on, and Itsuki says it's been a while since he's had some home-cooked meals. But he wonders where Iberia is, asking if he's still sleeping. Ageha says that she healed him earlier, and his wounds are gone, but he's so exhausted that he's asleep. Rito says that he's amazed that a nightmare class was defeated by a level 7 like him, when even him and Saya couldn't do it. She looks surprised, and he asks what's wrong with her. She tells him to look behind, he asks what's behind him, and when he does, he sees the vengeful spirit of Iberia begging for food. Rito says that he scared the hell out of him, asking why he didn't just sit down normally. He then slams the table, and Rito asks if he's getting angry at him. Iberia though is just saying that this shit is gas. Rito says that since he's back to normal, his cooking must possess some exorcism-like quality. Iberia tells him to just give up on being an awakened and become a chef. As he's more talented in this, Rito gets annoyed, and Nento says that since they're aiming to be saviors, there's something he wants to ask. Wondering what the scariest thing is for the two of them, Rito says that his dream is to become a savior, save up some money, and travel the world while enjoying food while he's young. The opposite of that would probably scare him the most, which is aging. Once he gets old, he won't have the stamina to travel, and his taste buds might even deteriorate so he can't tell flavors apart. Just thinking about it freaks him out. Nento then asks Saya, and she says that she was born into a family of doctors and grew up in a hospital. Ever since she was little, she's seen many people suffering from illnesses. That shit haunts her. It's like a trauma that she's developed to the point that even an older, normal fever makes her terrified. Itsuki explains that it makes sense why she ran away from him before when he sneezed. Nento says Awakens have lifespans about twice that of ordinary people, and almost never get sick, so they can both bid farewell to the things they fear. Iberia asks if it's his turn, and he says that what he feared the most was not passing the preliminaries. Now, he's just scared of not being able to fight alongside Itsuki anymore. Then he asks Itsuki what's the scariest thing for him. He asks why he's wanting to know all of a sudden, and Saya says that she doubts there's anything he's even scared of. Even Rito doesn't know either. Itsuki says after his parents died, he was anxious about how he was meant to go on living. He was constantly filled with helplessness, anger, sadness, and hunger, and his body was taken over by these negative emotions. Until his friends appeared one day asking why he was crying, he realized that there was a beautiful sky ahead of him that he'd never really looked at before, and the warmth he received from Saya and Rito pulled him out of that negative world, and after that he's lived his life, and now he's met everybody else, and having companions close enough like family members gave him a sense of security that he's been missing, and that he wishes moments like this last forever, and that he's scared of having to live alone again. Ageha says that his current atmosphere is calm and peaceful, and is different from that murderous aura that he used to give off. Iberia hugs him, saying that he'll never leave his side, and Itsuki says that's not what he meant. Nento says the reason he asked is to confirm whether they might regret having picked the path of saviors in the future. For a savior, regret is the one thing you must never allow, and that a death without regrets is the goal of every savior. He tells them to finish their meals and quickly rest, as Saya and Rito need to return to Zone 6 tomorrow. The next morning, everybody's saying their goodbyes, and Itsuki asks Iberia when him and Rito got so close. Nento says they should head back too, and Itsuki says that he wanted to ask Saya something, but he'll ask next time. Ageha starts to run over, and he wonders why she's in such a hurry. Nento asks what's wrong, and she says that a top-secret report came in from the South Continent. He asks what it is, and she says that it can only be disclosed to saviors above level 50, or continent commanders. Nento says that he'll handle it then, and she says that she low-key read it, and that it was a prophecy issued by Balgar. A large-scale attack will soon occur within the next 3 days. Itsuki asks if the prophecy is reliable, and Iberia tells him that Balgar is the most renowned prophet across the 5 continents. Ageha says if that's the case they need to leave quickly. Nento says there must be a reason for the sudden attack, and the target is most likely him again. She asks if he's really staying behind, and he says he would make the best decoy. She says that he's not even a combat specialist, and there's no need for him to risk his life. Itsuki agrees, saying that he can stay and fight with him, but Nento says that he's already decided, and there's something else he wants Itsuki to do. Itsuki says again that he'll stay and protect him then, but once more Nento's against it, saying that Iberia's father, Aiden, is the most excellent crafter in the 5 continents, and it would be bad if something happened to him, so he wants the 2 of them to go back home and protect him. Iberia is surprised that he'd do that much for his dad, and Itsuki can just tell that it's him wanting to keep him out of harm's way. Nento tells Ageha that he has 3 requests for her: first to announce the attack to all the residents, and have Awakened below level 50 leave; second to notify all Awakened in the continent above level 50, and have them prepare to face them. Finally, to call Wajin here to protect Zone 1, that way they don't have to worry about civilian casualties, as they're going to face them here head on. A little later, she says that she made the arrangements as he instructed, and Wajin should be arriving soon. Nento says that he's sorry for the trouble, telling them to leave now. She looks worried, but Nento says that it'll be fine. And Aiden has some reliable guards too. He's going to try to defeat the small fry and smoke out the boss quickly. She says that he always sees through everything. Nento says that it has been prophesied that a disaster beast of level 100 or higher will come this time, and it's inevitable that one must expose all of their cards. The reason he specifically sent Itsuki there is, with his ability, if he were to join the battle against such a disaster beast, it would be bad. She says that she understands that they would notice his abilities, and they would then try to eliminate him at all cost, and that he must have sent him away to avoid that. He says there's also another reason. Looking at his battle so far, he lacks attack power. Rumor has it that Aiden possesses an artifact that increases it, and if he can obtain that, he'll become a perfect awakener who possesses all of the stats. It is now day 1 for the prophecy. As the monoliths begin raining down like actual rain pelting the city, at Zone 2, Itsuki asks how much further until they get to Iberia's house as it's already 8 p.m. So the prophecy started. He says about another 100 kilometers. Itsuki says it wouldn't be strange if a beast attacked them at any moment, so they have to hurry to his father's. Iberia then tells him to look, as what they see is a monument flying straight down towards the city, and it crashes down. Itsuki says it has not been long since the information was released, so civilians must still be in the middle of evacuating, and if the beast come out like this, it'll be bad. In the middle of the city, we see the Awakeners saying that it came too early. A barrier begins to form, and Itsuki realizes that if they abandon the citizens here, there will be mass casualties, but if they go to help, it'll hinder their mission. Iberia must be tired from the journey, and hasn't asked for a break once, and he must be so worried about his father, and if he suggests saving the citizen, he'll hate it. But instead, Iberia says it first. He says the beasts inside the barrier are at least level 20, and if there are no high-level Awakeners, so many people will die. Itsuki says that they'll go deal with them first then. The first enemy to step up is a level 21 flame golem. It starts to scream, and one of the Awakeners on standby says that one level 15, and one level 16, to fight against this is going to be difficult. He uses his ability to start tanking, saying that while he has his aggro, his boy needs to break its defenses. The attack comes in while he's yapping, and he gets sent flying into the back of a truck, saying that's impossible. They realize that he was the highest level amongst them, and he was defeated instantly. The rest start to make a break for it, and the dude tells them they need to watch out for the citizens, but he says that he's more worried about himself. One of the golems appear right behind him, and he uses a skill to blow it away. Its fire then goes out and they realize that there might actually be a chance, since it's a flame golem and this guy uses water attacks. He gets a little cocky, just because its flames go out as it comes back on fire. It starts to spew a huge attack down towards them, but Itsuki comes in with black ice and blocks it. Iberia says that the double E will handle this, and Itsuki tells him to evacuate the citizens. The guys ask if they're saviors, and Iberia says not yet, but they'll become stronger than Wagen in the future. They say that he sure does talk big for a kid, and they continue yapping, as some of the people are just worried asking if a mere awakener can handle that when they're not a savior. But then he wonders if Itsuki is wearing an artifact. Itsuki says that Nento told him that the power behind his little orb is immense, but it takes time to cast. Compared to truly strong beasts, its flight speed can't be called fast either, and if he misses the target, they'll be on guard, making it harder to hit. So he has to avoid using it as much as possible, and to keep it as a trump card, and that he needs to use it only when confident that it'll work. Itsuki says that he can't use it in this crowd, as he'll probably collat someone else. Speaking of, the civilians just see his black ice saying that since he has cool equipment, he has to be a high-level awakener. Itsuki climbs up the golem's arm to its face, saying that in that case he's just going to have to suppress it with brute force, and he hits it, sending it flying across the ground. He uses Thunderclap to catch up, and hits it with another attack, sending it flying even further. As it tries to crawl away, he lands on its skull, stomping it into the floor, shattering the ground beneath him. Straight DBZ combo. People say that he looks so young, yet he's mopping the floor with this thing. One of the awakeners he was just fighting say this is crazy. A level 21 flame golem can't even fight back, asking who the hell that young man is. When they look for him, he's already gone. One of them says that he left with that blonde guy as soon as he finished defeating it. The cocky guy from earlier says that if a level 0 could do it, he could too. His boy says that he's smoking on copium, because that's at least a level 30's display of strength. Itsuki says even with a disaster beast of that level, an instant kill was impossible. This doesn't bode well for the future. He needs to increase his attack power somehow to make up for this gap. Iberia then tells him that his speed was amazing, as he couldn't even track it. Itsuki says that even if it's fast it's meaningless without power. Iberia says that he never really thought about it that way, and he sees him gassed out, but tells him that if he wants to raise his attack power there's a good method. Itsuki asks how. Iberia says that his old man's warehouse is full of tools, and there should be something in there to boost the attack power, and since Itsuki is strong, and one of Nento's disciples, his dad will probably happily give it to him. Just imagining him with his dad's unique equipment would be crazy. Itsuki asks why he's laughing like that, and Iberia says that they should head out already, and once they get home he'll talk to his dad about it. Itsuki says he thought he was holding back on his speed on the way here, but even so, Iberia's agility isn't as high, so keeping up isn't a struggle for him. He picks him up, telling him to not push himself too hard, and at this rate if they run into a beast he won't be able to fight properly. Iberia says he's not ready, as Itsuki puts on the sonic burners. He says that they've already been delayed long enough. A couple hours later at his dad's workshop, Iberia says that they finally made it. Itsuki asks why they live so deep in the forest, as the town would be safer. Iberia says that his dad always complained about how noisy it is, but not to be fooled, as its defenses are no joke, and there are tons of traps set around. Itsuki says that he sees, and he was wondering why he could sense fluctuations of mana all around. Iberia tells him to follow him, as the traps won't trigger if he stays close. Itsuki says that even if he didn't have him he could avoid them, and tells him to wait. Iberia though gets excited, saying it's finally his turn to take lead, until he steps on one of the traps. He says he forgot it was here. Itsuki asks if this is really his house, and Iberia says that this is the most troublesome one. As the fluctuations get more intense, a giant humanoid golem starts to rise from the ground, and its stats are 1,500 total. Itsuki is surprised by it, but it starts to come in for a punch. He quickly steps up and blocks the attack, as shock waves echo throughout the forest. He says even a tool has higher attack power than him, but since it's meant to protect Aiden he can't destroy it, as this is troublesome. He asks if there's a way to stop it, and Iberia says he needs to aim for the tool stone in its chest, and if he takes it out it won't be able to move. Itsuki says that this will be easy, because he can use his power to his advantage. The golem strikes down, but of course he dodges backwards. As the golem tries to keep up it can't land a single hit. Itsuki baits it into an overhand right, and walks up pulling the stone out of its chest. Itsuki asks if this is good enough, as a man appears behind Itsuki. Iberia yells telling him to stop. Itsuki turns only to see the blade, and the guy barely stops it. Who we learn is Yusuke. Itsuki just wonders when he got here. He says that he thought he was a bandit who just wandered in. And Itsuki's more surprised on what the hell just happened, because he didn't sense him. Yusuke asks Iberia who Itsuki is, and he explains that he's his friend who's level 0, but really strong. Itsuki cuts him off asking where Iberia's dad is, and Yusuke says that he's right behind him, but tells Iberia to be careful, because he's in a very bad mood. Iberia tells his dad he passed the preliminaries, and even cleared a nightmare rank. And just as he promised he should let him choose a tool. His dad then slaps him, and Iberia asks what the hell that was for. His dad tells him to hand over the dragon gear he stole. Iberia asks what's wrong, as he just borrowed an epic tool. He didn't have to hit him. His dad tells him that if he wears the gear for too long something irreversible will happen, and if he uses it without permission again he won't go easy on him. Iberia drops it on the floor, and storms off to his room. Aiden introduces himself. Itsuki tells him about the prophecy, and that his teacher ordered him to escort him. He says he's already heard all about it. For someone so demanding who rarely takes disciples he wants to know why he would take in such an ordinary looking person, and then looks at his stats realizing that his level is fixed at 0. Aiden follows it up asking if he's using a karma artifact to fake his stats. He says he's not, and he says no wonder Nento requested that specific item. He tells him that his master is a man who calculates gains and losses, and always demands something in return. Itsuki says that his master only told him to guard him, he didn't hear anything of a reward. Aiden says that he contacted him telling him to give Itsuki a certain artifact. Itsuki says it's fine, even without an artifact he'll protect him properly. He says he has plenty so he doesn't mind, and he's curious on why he specifically chose a failure. Itsuki asks what he means. He says originally it was a masterpiece created to draw out and awaken attack power to the absolute limit. It's a unique artifact called the critical crystal. Attack power is doubled during a critical hit, and it makes the critical hit rate 99%. The unique effect is that the user's attacks generate critical hits too. But suddenly a crack formed. The rank of it became unknown, and a broken effect was added, which means the critical rate resets whenever the user levels up. Itsuki says that because the critical rate someone would have worked hard to build up resets every time you level up, it's completely useless for a normal awakened. As the new effect as well means that every time an enemy unit with a higher attack power is defeated he gains a +1 crit rate. He says he was confused on why he chose this failure, but seeing his level he understands. He hands it to Itsuki saying that he's quite special. He doesn't know how he gets stronger, but since he never levels up, this artifact is perfect for him. As he continues to defeat beasts his critical rate will eventually hit 100%. In the future every attack would be buffed by 10 times as well, I forgot to mention that. My bad gang, it is a 10x damage increase. As he tweaks from the equip, we see it was successful. He says that his critical rate only goes up when he defeats enemies with higher attack power than him, and he'll think of a strategy after he gets through this raid on how to level it up. Aiden says that it seems to be equipped properly, and it truly is compatible with him. Itsuki says he was actually struggling due to his low attack power, and this will help him a ton. Aiden says that if he creates the artifacts and everybody's using them to defeat the beasts, he doesn't need to be thanked, because it's just part of survival. And unless someone knew his location in advance, there's no way the beast would attack such a remote forest. Of course he jinxes it as a monolith spawns out of the sky, dropping into the nearby forest. The wind surges past them all. Iberia opens the windows asking what happened, and then sees the barrier deployed, asking why a green one is here. Aiden says only the commanders-in-chief of the 5 continents should know his location, asking if it was a coincidence. Yusuke tells him to stay back because of the beast. Itsuki says they're already coming this way and something's approaching at incredible speed. There's at least 8 of them and we see they're level 14, they are called one-horned demons. One of them leaps at Itsuki and he catches it before stabbing it through the chest with the black ice. 3 more start to leap at him and he says it doesn't matter how many come, he can finish them instantly with Lotus Explosion. While Yusuke might be able to withstand the shock of it, Aiden and Iberia are behind him. And if he uses it recklessly he will probably catch them in the blast, so he can't right now. His only plan is to either create distance or fight together with Yusuke. He really is just suited for solo play. There's another surge of mana. He says this one is much more intense than before as a 2-horned guardian emerges, a level 24. Within the demon realm we finally get our first look at it, and they're talking about how they've teleported the first wave of the advanced party of lower class slaves to the human realm, and it's none other than Ligna in the chair. And somebody asks which of the 8 demon kings should they entrust with the main force. Ligna says thanks to the eye he left behind when he descended last time, he's noticed the existence of a certain person, and they should capture them. One of the 8 demon kings named in Muraku asks if he's entrusting this to him. Ligna says no, a demon king class might end up destroying the eye he left behind, so he'll leave this matter to a demon general. In Muraku bows saying as he wishes, and Ligna says that he will also leave the command of the main force entirely to Inshukma, who is also one of the demon kings. Since he hasn't eaten for a long time he's probably starving. If you've watched till the end, comment, corridor, to let me know. Also if there's any specific series that I have done in the past that you want to see updated first, let me know. The one with the most likes will be updated ASAP. Except for Eternally Regressing Night as I'm uploading it soon. And please understand that I can't continue some series due to copyright, or it not being well received. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.